Tell you what, there's nothing that gets our buddy Cassio going like conference realignment.
Oh, I know.
Like one step away from volunteering to produce the show. I mean, he just he forwarded me every college football realignment rumor all weekend. I'm like, don't you have a family? Oh my God. I do think this has been I don't think we've ever had a July with this much meat on the bone before. I really don't. I mean, the Heat and the Panthers and FAU and Miami, they took care of our spring. And for whatever reason, this summer has had a lot of interesting things to still talk about.
Yeah, I think last year we had Liv. I mean, we've been pretty fortunate. We had,
Yeah. I just feel, even interest is up in baseball. Baseball on Saturday had their best attendance day in like 9 years. Attendance is up over 9%. This is like 2016 attendance levels for Major League Baseball. Morning, Spitz. I don't sense the wrath when we talk about baseball that we've gotten in past years.
Just from me.
Felipe's probably wondered, why is it the baseball hour?
Felipe doesn't look like he wants to be here today.
Well, this is one
today.
This is one of your 2 tough mornings, right?
No, he's got to move
tomorrow.
Stuff
in the U-Haul today, and then bring all the stuff in the U-Haul to the place tomorrow.
So he's just disgruntled. It has nothing to do with work. He's just over there bitter. He has bitter beer face. He's not in a good mood.
Now you're moving into a house, though, right?
Correct.
Who are you moving in with?
2 of my friends.
Cheaper than the apartment?
Much cheaper. Apartments are expensive, especially around here.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Although I don't know if there's cheap housing anywhere anymore.
No.
Mongo, hope you had a good weekend. I was talking to my mom last night, and she said, "Say hi to Mark for me." I said, "Okay." What about young Felipe? She goes, "Well, Felipe knows I have his back." I go, "Oh, he does he?" She goes, "Yeah."
This is incredible.
All right.
That's amazing. Never spoken a word to this woman.
Yep. She feels as if she knows you.
Right. I feel like I know her too.
Bunch of ketchup loving crazies.
Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. And yet we like the both of you. Very strange. It's like Pat can call me Dave. My mom's okay with it. 3 people in this world can call me Dave. He's one of them. I asked her why. She goes, "I don't know. I like him."
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final day of July. Man, the magic numbers are getting small. 26, 31, 38. Hell, we even have another number for you. But first, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you had a great weekend. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How was your weekend?
Went by rather quickly for whatever reason. Yesterday was having dinner going, wow, this sucker's over already. This is it.
Come on. Can I get another one of these? No? Moulton and I have been wanting the 4-day work week forever. You sure? What if we did an hour longer for 4 days? Could we get the fifth one off? No? Get our 20 hours in? Damn.
But the weekend flew by, ready for another big week. We actually, and you and I don't count it, but this is the last weekend we will go through without players with helmets and shoulder pads running into one another.
Although there is another magic number, which I did not say, but I will throw in there for those at which it applies. We are just 3 days away from the Hall of Fame game.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. We won't.
So you're saying this weekend that came and went, okay, that's it? That's the last one? Because you're going to count Thursday, a preseason game, kind of since it's Thursday night, the weekend started for many. Okay, they're going to mail it in on Friday like they've been doing for the last 20 years at work. And so it counts.
Not to us.
No.
You and I have never counted this.
No.
We learned our lesson a long time ago that preseason football does not matter. All that matters are the injuries.
There you go. And the injuries that happen before you show up at training camp that you try to keep away from your teams while you're negotiating with them, which is a tough place to be in. I'm looking at you, Jonathan Taylor. News coming out overnight that Jonathan Taylor apparently hurt himself while training in Arizona. He's got a back injury. He failed his physical because of it. And so now the Colts and he, who are in a contract dispute, he in fact requested a trade. The Colts are thinking about putting him on the non-football injury list. By the way, when you're on that list, you don't get paid. If this is a serious back injury and he were to miss the year, and if the Colts put him on that list, he doesn't get credit for the year. So then there's that. Not that there's any bad blood between the two, Mark. I mean, like Jonathan Taylor's agent has quickly pointed out, it's funny, Andrew Luck retired. You let him keep $28 million, which contractually he owed you. Meanwhile, my guy is one of the best running backs in the league, and you don't want to give him any money. Interesting. So this whole, thing against running backs, it's getting beyond personal, right? It's business, is personal. This is, man, it's like the NFL owners are colluding or something, Mark. I mean, they've never done that.
Never, ever.
I mean, it's almost like Roger Goodell hated John Gruden.
What do you tell me next that Snyder's getting his team back?
Right. Or they're going to change their name back to it. Apparently that petition has over 15,000 signatures already. But Miller and Moulton, final weekend before the baseball trading deadline. And you know what? Got to give it up to our sport this year. Got to give it up to them. They made a bunch of rule changes that have seemingly worked. Attendance is up nearly 10%. All right. Teams that haven't competed for a while are competing. The sport's in a good place this year, and the general managers have responded. Have they waited till the last minute before making major trades? Hell no. Last minute is 36 hours from now. It's 6 o'clock tomorrow night. They're like, heck, we just got started.
Just getting warmed up, David.
Bunch of deals have already been made. Some good ones, too. Apparently, some other good ones are on the way. And like we said, are you a buyer or are you a seller? Well, some teams, they've had a good week and now they're not selling anymore. Just like that in a week. What a difference a week can make.
Talking to you, Chicago Cubs.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the Angels also? They had a good week until they said, we're buying. We're going to buy everything. Right? Are you watching, Ohtani?
Are you paying any attention to this? Because we would like you to stay, and we're going to show you how much by buying every asset that there is on the open market.
Listen, I don't want to say it was a crazy weekend or anything, but the Marlins averaged over 19,000 a game for a 3-game series with the Tigers. All right. So it was Cabrera's last trip to Miami, and Saturday was Venezuelan night. They had the largest non-opening day crowd at Lone Depot or whatever the heck the name of that Marlins Park, whatever it is. They had the largest non-opening day crowd there in 7 years Saturday. Over 32,000. And the Marlins didn't score a run. Yikes. Right. So we got the Marlins in the playoff race. We got the Rays with a good weekend in Houston. We got baseball trades. We got a lot of football news. Hell, we haven't even gotten to the juicy stuff yet. Miller and Moulton don't even know how to bring it up, where to bring it up, and where fact and fiction and rumors separate. It's a dangerous topic, Mark. There's a good chance 98% of what we say could turn out to not be true.
If we get 2% right, we've done well with this, David.
Well, I do feel confident about one part of this topic. And the topic, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is conference realignment. This could be a game show. In fact, who should host this game show? Of all the game show hosts that we've had, the conference realignment one. See, to me, this is not your traditional, your Bob Barker, all right, your Alex Trebek, your classic, iconic game show hosts. This, to me, is a zany game show.
Regis.
Okay.
Regis.
It's out of control.
It's college football alignment's out of control. What's going on with the Pac-12?
Pac-12, would you like to call a friend? No, I'm sorry. We only have 2 lifelines. No, you seemingly need a lot. I told you in that third clue, you should have called a friend. You should have asked for help. Now look at where you are.
Do you know you could have had Oklahoma and Texas Pac-12?
Yes, you could have. And apparently you guys said, I don't know. They're asking for a lot. Don't know.
And what's really depressing as the Pac-12 could be ending before our eyes is that when you look back, and I have no problem with Texas and Oklahoma coming to the SEC. I really don't. But if they were in the Pac-12, wouldn't you feel a little better about college football right now? Wouldn't it seem, I don't know, a little cleaner?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and let's face it, it wouldn't be as strange as USC and UCLA next year when they're in the Big Ten. I mean, it's a stretch. It was a reach if Texas and Oklahoma 12 years ago had gone to the Pac-12. But, I mean, I don't know. They're only, 2 states removed? I mean, in between Texas and Arizona is New Mexico. Now, granted, Austin's in the eastern part of the state. Austin's a long way from Tucson. All right. But, I mean, it's not like how many states we have to connect to get USC and UCLA into the Big Ten. I mean, we could have done the Oklahoma-Texas thing better than we're going to do the USC-UCLA thing.
Well, not to mention the fact that the conference is going extinct.
Yeah, it might not be the only one. But yeah, things don't look good. I mean, I like Joel Klatt, really nice guy. He sent out a tweet late Friday night, like, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. No, actually, no, this is like the captain of the Titanic saying, don't worry, the boat can handle it. No, actually, no, it cannot. And it's a hell of a boat. But no, not this kind of damage, because now reportedly the best deal they have is $200 million. Best TV deal they reportedly have is $200 million. So even if they're down to 9 teams, take USC, UCLA, and Colorado out of the equation. Divide 200 by 9. What do you get? You get 22.2. That's $9.5 million less than what the Big 12's offering. So if you're Arizona, never mind anybody else, because the team that is rumored to be getting up and leaving within the next 48 hours is Arizona. Mark, would you stay in the Pac-12 for $9.5 million less a year? And by the way, your games are on streaming. You go to the Big 12, your games are on Fox and ESPN.
I'd already be gone. I'm not even messing around here. I would already be gone. My emergency meeting would have happened, and we would have announced this.
Well, apparently they had an emergency meeting on Thursday, which now they're having another one tomorrow. Here's my question. Why are you waiting till tomorrow? Do you know how many schools could leave before that meeting? I mean, wouldn't you have it like 9 a.m. today? Hell, I might have had it yesterday. I know it's Sunday.
Certainly would have been on Saturday.
Yeah. This seems like an all hands on deck situation to us.
David, I'm scared to have it at 9 a.m. Pacific because of what could have happened between 6 a.m. Eastern and 9 a.m. Eastern, if you know what I mean.
Well, especially since apparently to join the Big 12, all you have to do is send them an email. I mean, Mark, I know I'm not real good with technology, but I got to admit, my understanding is that doesn't take long at all.
In fact, I think people are leaving the Pac-12 more quickly than they're signing up for our fantasy football summit. And that's not that hard to do either. It's just a couple of buttons. Miller and Moulton. More on both coming up in the starting 5, 25 minutes away right here on the Florida Sports Network.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call. Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So a major dilemma in my life we fixed over the weekend. I slept so well last night because of it. My room's been just too hot for me. There's only like one vent in it. I can't get the air to come on the bed. So it was just a little too warm for me to sleep. So we found a fan. I put it directly on me. It's the best part of my football travels, how ice cold the hotel rooms are. Yeah, unfortunately, I have two women who combined are 135 years old, and they're always cold. So our house is set at 75.
I don't know how much colder we could have our house. I mean, I get you want to put it in the 60s, but when it's 98 out.
That AC's working pretty hard. So how's your 92-degree pool water?
It's actually cooled. We've got a little rain. It's cooled down.
Okay, 90, 91 now.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Right, just a little chill.
It was actually downright chilly.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, we talk about this some Mondays, Mark, where if something happens, say midday Friday or Friday afternoon or evening, by the time we come on Monday morning, it seems like it happened forever ago. But it is still something that we need to address because we didn't get a chance to address it. When we left you last, we did not know the extent of the Jalen Ramsey injury. You know, there were two different possibilities with his meniscus in his left knee. And, you know, the hope was that it was going to be the good outcome. You know, it was damaged, but it wasn't completely torn. You know, they could work with this. And, you know, the 8 weeks. And with the season being 6 weeks away, so he misses a couple, 2-3 games. It's all right. Gonna be okay. Yeah, that's not the outcome, Mark.
No, it's not. It was the worst of the two. He'll be out until December.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This just in, the season ends by mid-January. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. He's going to miss like 12 games. That's not ideal.
No, it is not.
Best corner on the team, Some feel the best corner in the league, certainly in everybody's top 5 list with him and Howard. I think best set of corners in the league. A healthy Xavier Howard. People forget how good he is. And now Howard's the number 1 corner. And who the heck knows who the number 2 corner is going to be in the slot corner. And it's probably going to change things up for Miami defensively. It's a big loss.
It's a monstrous loss. This was the best part of this defense. Everything that Fangio was going to do from a blitz standpoint was around the fact that he could put his corners on islands and then blitz, hopefully very efficiently for the Miami Dolphins. So this changes that.
Was a very interesting signing that the Dolphins then made over the weekend because of it. You know, there's a few name corners that were out there, and they chose Eli Apple. Eli Apple's got a hell of a reputation. For a guy who's actually played on some good teams and started on those teams, he is not held in very high regard. And if you're into analytics at all, well, you even hold him in less regard because his numbers are not good. Whole Pro Football Focus stuff and all that. You know, like 88 corners in the league who, you know, get graded. Where does he rank? Oh, I don't know, 86th. Oh, that seems kind of bad. But he's got experience, Mark. He has started, 80 games. And in this league with a veteran defensive coordinator, they didn't go out and get the youngest, fastest corner. They went out and got arguably the most experienced corner, who's still young. I think he's like 28. Former first-round pick out of Ohio State. Bounced around, Giants, all right, Saints, Bengals. He's started in a Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. Started for him, I think, last year even. But that's who they went with, Eli Apple, who also has a history with Tyreek Hill. And by history, I mean, well, they didn't like one another. They said bad things about each other. So they had to kind of, the Dolphins actually went to Tyreek Hill before they signed him. They said, we're thinking about signing Eli Apple. Is that okay?
Yeah, I'll torch him in practice 60, 70 times to show you just how bad he is. I have no problem with it.
He even tweeted that.
Right. Which, listen, I guess I credit the Dolphins for keeping that in the back of their mind. We're going to sign Eli Apple. Can I just talk to one person before we do? Can you hold off on that phone call? This is like the University of Arizona right before they're leaving the Pac-12. Listen, can I just talk to one person before we call the Big 12 back? If that's okay with you, I'll get right back to you. So that's the move that the Dolphins made. Meanwhile, I don't know about you, Mark. I'm still looking to hear the Bucs first round pick. Same thing happened to him, happened to Joe Burrow. Harmless looking play in practice, non-contact. All of a sudden, he's grabbing his right calf. Ends up down on the ground. Since he's a big guy, they're carting him off. MRI, haven't gotten the results back yet. That's the other thing that we got back on Friday afternoon. We saw the Joe Burrow non-contact injury on Thursday, and it wasn't an Achilles. It was just a calf, and it was described as a strain. Oh, well, I mean, if it's a strain, miss a couple of weeks of practice. He doesn't need them. Everything's fine. Then the head coach, Friday afternoon, Mark, when asked, hey, what's the deal with Burrow's injury? Quote, well, he's going to miss several weeks. Unquote. I'm sorry, several? Excuse me?
No sense of testing that calf at all.
I'm sorry.
Make sure you're fully healed and probably have a new contract by the time you step on the practice field again.
I'm sorry. Did you say several? That seems like more than a couple. Even, I'll tell you what, couple, 2, 3. That seems like more than that. Several. Huh. I don't know, Mark. You're not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what your favorite medical show was. Okay. That's the extent of our medical degrees here. Whatever the combined our favorite medical shows are. It's kind of like, when we talk about things involving a legal matter. Well, I've watched over 200 episodes of Law and Order. I don't know whether that gets me in a courtroom, but I don't feel overwhelmed when I walk in it. Put it that way.
It's really a good thing you've never gotten jury duty, because you'd break out something from that show.
Darn right I would. In fact, I might on my phone put the theme music, that couple 2-3 second thing there. Dun dun. Wait, I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to. Every time they make a point, I can't know. All right. So, listen, I don't know what the difference is between a strained calf and a torn calf, but it does seem to be the difference between a couple weeks and several weeks. They're not telling us what the extent of the injury is, but I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to jump to a crazy conclusion that a strained calf is a couple, 2, 3. And a torn calf to any degree is several. That's just me. I'm not Ed Warder. Don't have my sources.
And you didn't sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Right.
But we've gone from strained calf to several weeks, and you're just inquisitive as to what the hell happened.
Correct. But I watched enough Grey's Anatomy to know. I don't know.
And Marcus Welby, MD, never dealt with these type of things, David.
They never dealt with a calf. No. Emergency 51. All right. The doctor and the nurse were actually married in real life. Oh, what intrigue.
But that's what we've got. More conference realignment, more injuries. That's what the weekend provided for us as training camps are going at it. We've got a Hall of Fame game on Thursday, a baseball trade deadline, a little over a day away.
Ah!
Miller and Moulton, the starting 5. That's next right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah, hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
It's a very powerful name there. Death Walk Recordings in YouTube. Scares me a little bit. So I'll say good morning back to you, and I won't say anything negative about the Gators.
Right. Morning, Death Walk. I mean, we all make that walk eventually. Morning. My mom is the nurse is explaining to me the difference in the injuries. I'm like, Mom, we're being a little facetious. See, they won't tell us the extent of the injury. So that's why we have to put our medical degrees to work here. I mean, Mom, I watched ER. I know. Bought 5 quick picks over the weekend, Adam. $10, threw it down. I said, you know what? For $1 billion, I'll spend $10.
I could really use it.
I will say, everybody got more money. You know how the whole, if you win, who you're going to give money to? When I saw it reached $1 billion, I went, well, you know what? I think I'll throw Mark an extra $1 million.
Like to come to work Wednesday morning, forget that I looked at the tickets, go back Wednesday, and then look at them and see that I won. Do the happy dance, call it a day.
Here's a question, by the way, because you've got like a year to claim it. I mean, do you just, immediately, or do you lay low? Do you hire an attorney to finance?
Yes. I'd be hiring people.
What's the best way to go about this?
There you go.
Also, that means you don't tell anybody, right?
Nope.
You've got this secret. Would you do a full football season?
No. No, I wouldn't go until the end of August, David. I wouldn't take that long. I mean, lawyers could figure this out a little more quickly.
I think contractually we have to go to like October 4th or something like that. I know that would really concern you.
I'd do that. What else am I going to do?
I don't know. Play golf.
Whatever
Wouldn't
you
have-
want.
Wouldn't have to get up at 4:30 or whenever you get up anymore. But of course, with how you sleep, you could win $1 billion and still be up at 20 after 5.
What how long it would take me?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
Another reason to sign up to take in Miller and Moulton via twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. We were just discussing what we're going to do when I think it's tomorrow, right? Mega Millions, which is now Mega Billions, since it's over $1 billion. We were discussing what we're going to do with it, how quickly we, cash in the ticket. I mean, you don't win on Tuesday and cash it in on Thursday. I mean, it's a few bucks and all. You gotta hire a lawyer, financial person, something. Get some people on retainer, something. Start spending all that money right away before you have it.
I would want to turn in the ticket quickly. I would not want to be walking around with that ticket.
No doubt. And you can't tell anyone anything beforehand. Boy, that's a tough secret to keep, man. That's a tough one. You've won $1 billion. You can't tell anybody. And not only that, obviously your wife and daughter are going to know. They can't tell anybody. Can your daughter keep a secret?
No. She's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Rats me out on anything and everything.
Well, but she does. It's a mom, though, too, right? So, I mean, she's an equal opportunity offender here.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's good. At least she's not playing favorites.
Not a good secret keeper. We'll have to work on that.
By the way, go to floridasportsnetwork.com, floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit. It's 2 weeks tomorrow. Dr. Roto and dinner, $50. Best money you've ever spent on fantasy sports. It's our Fantasy Football Summit. You cannot get this. This is basically your own fantasy football radio show for a couple hours. I mean, if you think about that, one of the best in the business at fantasy sports, we're bringing them to you. You get them for 2 hours. We're also going to feed you. So you're going to be in good spirits. You can imbibe also if you'd like. And you can ask anything and everything. And it's early enough so that you'll then have all this information for when you do all your fantasy drafting.
That's why we are having it as early as we are, so you get it before your draft. The Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto, brought to you by the law firm of Michael F. Hornon. 2 weeks from tomorrow at the Crown Plaza Bell Tower.
FloridaSportsNetwork.com. It's limited seating, so sign up today. Right now it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Was that on purpose?
It wasn't, but it was actually kind of funny. Like, I accidentally hit the space bar, which has another sound effect.
I say we go with it.
I like it. Can you do that on command every day?
Yes, I can.
That's fantastic. I mean, I didn't know if it was a gong or somebody got shot, but I loved it. Right now it's time for the Starting Five. We'll start with baseball. Hey, the Rays took 2 out of 3 from Houston. Of course, the one they lost, they put on national television. The final score was 17-4. They had a position guy pitching in the 8th. He gave up 3 homers. But anyway, they won on in and around it. Took 2 out of 3, 8-2 the final yesterday after they scored 4 in the first. I will say we've given them a lot of grief. Brandon Lau with an early homer, 3 RBIs. He is showing signs of being removed from the witness protection program. He is. They need it. Rays haven't made a deal yet either. Their fan base is freaking out, even though they're only a game and a half behind the Orioles. Houston, meanwhile, is a game back from Texas. Reason they're still a game and a half behind the Orioles is they took 2 out of 3 from the Yankees. If you didn't watch Sunday Night Baseball last night, you could have turned the sucker off pretty early. They scored 7 in the first.
I did. I watched the first. I said, well, this is enough of this.
And considering it's the Yankees offense, they might not score 7 in a week. Orioles 9-3 final. They lead the East. They have the best record in the American League. Meanwhile, the Yankees 3.5 out of the wild card. They caught a break because Toronto and Houston are tied for 5th. So they are the floor of the wild card, if you will. And Toronto lost in 10 innings to the Angels 3-2, but the Blue Jays did take 2 out of 3 in that series. Angels are 5 back in the West, 4 out of the wild card. Red Sox lost another extra inning affair to the Giants, who took 2 out of 3 in that series. San Francisco won 4-3. Red Sox are 2.5 out of the wild card. Giants, meanwhile, are the 4 seed. They're the wild card with the best record in the National League, and they're just 2 back of the Dodgers. As for the Marlins, they took 2 out of 3 from the Tigers. Big win yesterday. They were down 4-0 early. Came back, blew the lead because their bullpen's terrible lately. And then Garrett Cooper hit a 2-run homer in the 7th to give him a 7-6 lead. They added another one in the 8th. Marlins beat the Tigers 8-6. It was Miggy's celebration weekend. Miguel Cabrera, the future Hall of Famer. Remember, he started his career with the Marlins. He went 3 for 10 in the series. He played all 3 games, had a couple RBIs, and was removed for pinch runners in all 3 games to standing ovations all 3 times. Nice way for the career to come full circle. Marlins, meanwhile, they're in the playoffs today. They're tied with Milwaukee for the 5 seed. 5-6 wild card. Half a game ahead of the Phillies. Game ahead of the Diamondbacks. That's right, Milwaukee. You know why? Because the Braves swept the Brewers over the weekend 8-6. And with Cincy taking 2 or 3 from the Dodgers, they hit 3 homers yesterday, including one by De La Cruz, who proclaimed L.A. to be his city. 9-0 Cincinnati. The Reds are in first place on July 31st.
It's not good when your future superstar is already claiming L.A. as his city, though.
Well, we're still trying to figure out if he was joking or not. He said, I was born here. And literally, the Reds sideline reporter was like, because they needed an interpreter to do the interviews. He only speaks a little bit of English, but he did say in English, this is my city. And when the reporter followed up on it, he said, no, I was born here. And he said it in English. And the reporter then asked the interpreter, is he joshing with us or is that true? And De La Cruz wouldn't answer that for what it's worth. Anyway, the Reds still, they're going to have him for the rest of the decade. Mark's just planning his free agent exodus in 2030. But the Reds are in first place, and the Marlins are in the playoffs on July 31st. How about that? By the way, the Phillies lost 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. They had 10th inning yesterday, tie game. They had 2nd and 3rd, nobody out, and didn't score. So then Josh Palacios hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 10th for the Pirates. Pittsburgh won, and now the Phils are a half game behind the Marlins. And this is the biggest series in the history of Lone Depot Park. Marlins and Phillies, a 4-gamer. It begins tonight. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in South Florida. Marlins have 7 games left with the Phillies. These are their last 4 at home. Over, under 70,000. That's 17.5 a game.
I'm going to go over. A lot of Philly fans will be there too.
Yes. I hope you're right. I mean, you better be. I mean, come on. I mean, Marlins are making deals.
Monday through Thursday's a little scary to go over on.
I know.
Might need a few more Venezuela nights.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt about it. That place was rocking Saturday. That had a World Baseball Classic feel to it. It was beautiful. Where are we? Seattle shut out Arizona 4-0. Seattle's 4.5 out of the wild card. Arizona now drops to the 8 seed, a game out of the wild card in the National League. San Diego took 2 out of 3 from Texas. They're still below 500. They're 5 games out of a wild card mark, but they're the 10th seed in the National League. They have to leapfrog the Cubs along with the Diamondbacks, the Phillies, and either the Marlins or the Brewers. A lot of teams they got to leapfrog. 5 out. Trade deadline's about 35 hours away. What do you do? What do you do? Padres beat Texas 5-3, who maintain their 1-game lead in the West. Speaking of the Cubs, they took 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals, but the loss was yesterday. 3-0 St. Louis. Cubs are 4 back of the Reds and just 3.5 out of the wild card.
We've talked about their run differential now for 3 weeks.
It's like
they're taking Bellinger off the trade market.
Yep.
They're going to give this a run.
And they should. Come on. 4 back of the Reds, for goodness sakes, on July 31st. Mets beat the Nats 5-2. They took 3 out of 4, but they're selling. They traded Max Scherzer on Saturday. Justin Verlander win number 250 yesterday. 250 in his Hall of Fame career. And my prediction is Verlander gets dealt by the deadline 2 and he heads out west.
Yeah, I was going to say win 251 more than likely won't be in a Mets uniform.
I think it'll be in a Dodgers. That's my prediction. He goes to Los Angeles. They have young pitching, and the Mets need it. The Royals swept the Twins. What the heck, Minnesota? 2-1 Kansas City. Twins have lost 5 in a row, yet still lead Cleveland by a half a game. Guardians shut out the White Sox 5-0. Colorado beat Oakland 2-0. If you missed it, Texas acquired Max Scherzer on Saturday. They then acquired 2 pitchers from St. Louis, Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton, yesterday. Toronto acquired right-handed reliever Jordan Hicks from the Cardinals. The Angels late yesterday acquired first baseman C.J. Cron and outfielder Randall Grichuk from Colorado because they got a bunch of injured guys. Boy, the Angels are going all in. NFL, the Vikings and defensive end Danielle Hunter reach a 1-year, $17 million deal. He could earn more with incentives, and they can't tag him. So he's a free agent at the end of the year. Colts running back Jonathan Taylor's requested a trade. The Colts have said no way that's going to happen. Cowboys holdout Zach Martin was publicly told by Jerry Jones, you're not getting any more money, okay? We have to pay Micah Parsons. He's more important than you. That's literally what Jerry said publicly. So this will be interesting. Lions tackle Penei Sewell's in concussion protocol. Joe Burrow's going to miss several weeks with his right calf injury. Jalen Ramsey torn his left meniscus. He's out until December. Dolphins signed Eli Apple. Steelers signed linebacker Quan Alexander. That's a good signing. Sony Michel retired after 5 years. He won 2 Super Bowls, one with the Patriots, one with the Rams. Not bad. Bucks first-round pick Kalijah Cansey carted off the field with a calf strain. No word on the extent of that injury. In golf, Lee Hodges won the 3M Open wire-to-wire, his first ever win. Alex Chayka won the Senior Open in a playoff with Padraig Harrington. And LPGA Tour, a major, the Evian in France. Well, Celine Boutier of France won it. Good for her. By 6 over Brooke Henderson. New number 1 player in the world is American Nelly Korda, thanks to a top 10 finish. NASCAR, Chris Buescher won at Richmond. He earns a spot in the playoff. Ross Chastain finished 20th. Eric Almirola with a good finish, 8th, but he still needs a win to make the playoff. And Mark, some big upsets since we were last with you in the Women's World Cup. Nigeria beat Australia on Friday. France beat Brazil on Saturday. And yesterday, Colombia beat Germany. So Australia, Brazil, and Germany have all lost in the World Cup. And the U.S. needs a win, most likely, in their next match, or we ain't going to advance either. So there. And 7 minutes before the hour, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Yeah. That's how we wake up on this show, with an explosion.
That's your alarm clock.
All right.
Got your conference realignment right here. You want to know what's happening to the Pac-12? We're blowing that sucker up. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around and get it.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sure, T. Haynes. That's why we're having him on. Talks mostly Bucks. And ambient, we're not going to like sit down and go, today we're talking about the NFC North. We're just going to try to talk to beat people around the league throughout the month of August. You know, Pat Kerwin's doing his training camp tours. He's going to go to like a dozen of them. We'll have him on two times a week, beginning this week, if he can do it. Sometimes his travel only allows for him to come on once. And so we'll do the best we can from afar. Want to get into conference realignment?
Sure.
Stuff?
Yeah.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this final day of July. Thanks so much for being with us. Our magic numbers: 3 to the Hall of Fame game, 26 until week 0 of the college football season, 31 until week 1 when Florida and UCF are in action. 5 weeks from Thursday, 38 days away, Lions and Chiefs to kick off the NFL season, but also 15 days left to sign up for the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto. I mean, it's like your own college seminar, a class of no more than 50. And we're going to feed you. So there.
It's like a 1-credit PE class. You should get a credit for this.
High school coaching was mine. Yep. I aced it. Yep. The college basketball coach at the University of Scranton, Bob Beswar, taught it. I asked one question because he said, I want you to play reporter, because some of us in the class were communications people. He knew that. Asked me a question. And he had a starting guard on his team who he had benched. And the word was, it was because he wasn't in shape. And so I asked him, I said, hey, you benched Danny Palachik. Okay. The word is, it's because he's out of shape. How out of shape is he? And he looked at me and he said, about as out of shape as you are. I loved Bess. I really did.
That's fantastic.
So that was my high school coaching. That was mine. What was yours?
Don't kid yourself, I took a couple, but my favorite was the weekend sailing class at Michigan State for 1 credit.
Wow. Man, that sounds outstanding. How close was the lake? I hope it was close.
No, you drove to the lake. It was about an hour away on Lake Michigan.
Okay.
And learned how to sail over the course of a weekend. It was actually learned something. Great class. And they had a 3-credit one in the summer that I didn't have because the lab fee was expensive and I had to work.
Right.
I didn't get to do the 3-credit one that was a week long. But no, the sailing class was fantastic.
Wow, an hour-long drive each way. Made you earn that credit. I'm impressed. All right. So this conference realignment, this is a dangerous topic for us to get into because most all of it's, I don't know, throwing paint against the wall, but I don't know. It seems as there's a lot of noise in the system, Mark. I mean, so much so it's like wow, is this like really happening again? I thought this wasn't going to happen for 2-3 years, but it looks like this is happening. We're doing this. So Colorado's left. They're done. And apparently at least one more is going to have to join them in the Big 12 because the Big 12 can't stay at 13. Got to have an even number. Do you believe that Arizona is leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12?
I would if I were them. I would jump at the opportunity.
I am believing it. There are multiple people that are saying it. One of the best conference realignment information guys in our estimation out there that we have latched onto in the last 10 days is a guy by the name of Greg Swaim. He will join us on the show tomorrow. And he has said Arizona's a done deal. Pac-12, by the way, is having an emergency meeting tomorrow. I mean, how much of an emergency can it be? It wasn't yesterday or today.
When it's really emergency is when they have the Zoom call or however they're having the meeting.
Right.
And 4 schools don't show up for the emergency meeting.
It's kind of a tell.
I mean, roll call is going to be incredibly important in this meeting.
Right.
And particularly if they go alphabetical.
So
Arizona?
remember, right.
Arizona. Arizona, are you here?
Well, let's go with the next one. Arizona State.
Here?
Are you here?
Woo!
Well, maybe. We don't know. We don't know. But remember, the last meeting they had was Thursday. And Colorado was so pleased with that meeting that they joined the Big 12 immediately. So, but let's get to the interesting stuff. There is a lot more noise in the system about Florida State. Florida State and how basically they are sick and tired of life in the ACC and they're leaving. And Clemson's like, we're right there with you. Now, by now, I think we all know the pitfall. It's called a hell of a lot of money.
And the inability to make any money if you leave. I mean, they have got you pigeonholed with this grant of rights.
The ACC deal is, A, there's an exit fee, and the cheapest exit fee anybody's heard of is $50 million. It could be $100+ million. But also, you then owe the conference your media rights money for the duration of their contract. Not the place you're going to's contract, but the current ACC contract with ESPN. So that means you would owe them all the money that you're going to earn for the next 12 years. Kind of defeats the purpose of leaving, right?
Hence the reason they put it in.
Right. But apparently Florida State and Clemson are to the point in which they're like, yeah, we don't care. We got to get out. We'll work. And a figure was thrown out there over the weekend of $300 million to be paid in 10-year increments. $30 million a year for 10 years. Well, if you're leaving for the SEC or the Big Ten, in theory, you could do that. I mean, you really could, because you would get between 60 and 75 million a year. And so, okay, half it goes to the ACC, but the 30 million that you're making is still more than you would have made if you stayed in the ACC. So you're like, yeah, we got to get out. We're going to die here. If we're stuck here for 12 more years, we're dead. Mark, how much weight do you put behind the Florida State Clemson rumors that are out there of this happening now? Like, it's going to happen in August is what people are saying.
Oh, I think they want to, David. I just think they're going to have a difficult time getting. See, I think the only way it happens, and I've thought this for a while, is if they can break up the ACC. And I don't think they're going to get enough support within the conference to completely dismantle it that would make the grant of rights agreement go away. Because we've talked about this. They will need 8 teams.
Well, listen, and I don't mean to offend a Florida State fan here. Florida State's not going to the Big Ten. Florida State does not fit the Big Ten profile at all. It just doesn't. Not as a university. When you look at the universities that they bring, their presidents want a university that checks off certain boxes. Florida State doesn't check them off. Even though it's a much better academic school than I think its reputation, it doesn't check off the boxes. And goodness knows Clemson doesn't. So I don't see them a fit. Plus, they don't want to go to the Big Ten. They want to go to the SEC. Let's be honest. Well, unless Greg Sankey's is the bold-faced liar, which, let's face it, he's running a conference, so he can bold-faced lie. I mean, remember, Oklahoma and Texas weren't coming.
Until they were.
And, I mean, he was sitting in a room with them, and then the next week they were coming. But if you're the SEC, Florida State, Clemson, you don't have to take anybody else. You want them? Yes
Do
or
I
no?
want them? Yes.
Okay.
Do
Do
I
you need them?
No.
Okay. Here is the one thing that I will throw out there. If, and I don't think it's real, if I was ESPN, I'd play the poker. See, ESPN has Florida State and Clemson, and they are draws. They are. Okay. I know Florida State was down until only last year. Florida State's a top 10 draw in college football. They are. You just got to trust us when we tell you. We dive into television ratings and brands and what have you. We're actually pretty good at it. Florida State's a top 10 brand in college football. It really is. ESPN does not want that brand to go to the Big Ten because they can't televise their games. And Clemson right now is one of the 5 best programs in the sport. So if ESPN were to believe in any way, shape, or form that there was any truth to them going to the Big Ten, I think ESPN would get involved to say, no, listen, if you're going anywhere, you're staying with us. You ain't going to Fox and CBS and NBC. That ain't happening. We ain't losing you in Clemson.
And the curious part to me, David, along this whole thing, we've been talking about this for a little while, is ESPN could use the cash. If the ACC goes away, they could easily up the SEC's per year value to make it enough for Clemson and Florida State. But they would need the ACC to go away in order for that to happen.
Right. Right now, it's right around $250 million a year that ESPN sends to the ACC. So obviously they'd have $240-250 million to play with. And even if Florida State and Clemson want a full SEC share and say it's around 60 or so million, well, then the ESPN still has 120 plus million laying around. But that's breaking up the ACC entirely. Florida State and Clemson leaving does not break up the ACC. It doesn't. And it would put ESPN in a bit of a tricky situation also. It's kind of what happened when Oklahoma and Texas announced they were leaving the SEC. Remember, what was the very first thing the Big 12 said? Big 12 threatened to sue ESPN because they thought ESPN was behind it. Which I believe, by the way, is why when the Big 12 opened up their media rights deal early and they went to Fox and ESPN, that ESPN agreed to such a, quote, generous package. So do you believe, gut feeling, that there is some truth there to Florida State in the next 30 days before the season kicks off is going to make an announcement that they're leaving the ACC?
Miller and Moulton. We'll discuss it on the other side. Could the Noles up and leave the ACC? Thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Florida State gets better ratings than Clemson. If Florida State's good, they get better ratings than Clemson. Also, Florida doesn't have the national brand that you think. Florida has to be good. They're right at the edge of the top 10. I've seen the numbers. I'm telling you, they're right there. They're in the 9-10 slot in terms of draws. They really are. Bobby built a hell of a brand. People like the uniforms. They like the chant. People watch Florida State when they're on television, even if it's to root against them. Well, DC, you would agree because you want your league to be as strong as possible. Yeah. We defended the hell out of him a year ago at this time. We begged Knowles fans to just, you're not willing to acknowledge how bad the situation was and he inherited it. We're trying to do the same with Gator fans with Napier. And I love Dan Mullen as a coach, but he did a horrible job recruiting. Wow. Stunningly bad.
He almost didn't recruit as well at Florida as he did at Mississippi State.
I know.
Which is staggering to think of.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. On this final day of July, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 15 days to sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto. We're going to feed you as well. Crown Plaza in Fort Myers, the one located in Bell Tower Shops. Got a nice little sports bar there called Shoeless Joe's. They got a room that can comfortably hold about 54 of us. So we're going to jam 50 of us into it. And Dr. Roto. FloridaSportsNetwork.com.
Quesadilla.
They do make a mean quesadilla. Yes, they do. I've only had about 200 of them there. In fact, I might be underselling it. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Sign up. We'll see you 2 weeks from tomorrow, Tuesday, August 15th. Greg Auman of Fox will join us to talk a little NFC South, specifically the Tampa Bay Bucks, at the top of the hour. Old friend of the show, Antwan Staley's with the New York Daily News. Talk some Jets, who are always in the news. Plus, they're going to play on Thursday, the Hall of Fame game. I mean, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to play. No, the starters are going to play, but, the uniforms will be out there. Guys sweating in them. Today's the first day that guys can hit each other, Mark. It's the first day they're allowed to wear pads and hit each other.
That means the injuries should go up exponentially.
Exactly. I mean, we got guys that are, missing serious time, and they're not even allowed to make contact with each other. Starting today, they can.
All right. You asked during the break, basically, how serious is Florida State? I think they're incredibly serious, David. I just don't know how they pull this off without a lot of help from a lot of schools.
Right. We're talking conference realignment. Okay. But Mark, I'm not asking, are they hell-bent on leaving? I'm asking, are they going to announce before they kick off against LSU, we're out of here? Are they going to pull at Oklahoma and Texas, who announced 4 years early? I mean, they were still under contract to the Big 12 for 4 more years, I think. And they announced, we gone. Okay, we're leaving.
I don't think so. As much as they want to, I don't think they're going to be able to pull it off. Financially, I don't see how they can, David. Unless they're going to unless if I'm wrong, they're taking on this grant of rights fee. And they found, at least they believe they will have found a loophole to beat it.
Well, the reason why I think they're not going to make that announcement is they would have to get a conference, and they don't want to go to the Big 12. Let's be honest. They don't. They want to go to the SEC. They have to get the SEC and their media partner, which is the same media partner as the conference they're in now, ESPN, to agree to take them and to start paying them the full freight immediately. That could cause real problems for ESPN with the ACC office. But B, I mean, Mark, I guess, and you made the comment on Friday, listen, David, we could crumple up a schedule and redo a schedule in a couple hours. But I mean, the SEC and the Big Ten have both released their schedules. The SEC released it for 2024. The Big Ten released their schedules through 2025 in football. I mean, we know who's going to play who, where, and when this season, next season, and the one after that in the Big Ten. Now, I guess you could say, well, we got to go back to the drawing board. Forget that. We'll release the new schedule coming up. But there's a part of me that actually believes that when these conferences did that, it was also their way of saying, well, we ain't adding anybody new. That's why we release these schedules. If you're Florida State, let's just say you can get in the SEC for 2025, not 2024, but 2025. You going to make that announcement now?
Yes.
Okay.
100%. You make that announcement as soon as you have the ability to make it.
Do you think the SEC is ready to accept you?
No.
Right. I don't either. Reportedly, and I know we got the Clutch Vodka play of the day. Reportedly, the reason the Big 12 can grab a couple of teams here is because they negotiated a deal with Fox/ESPN that, listen, if we expand, okay, we want to be able to offer teams the full freight. Okay, how many, how much are you willing to pay? And there were reports that ESPN and Fox agreed to fully pay 4 new members. Latest reports say they're willing to pay 2. Hence, Colorado and only 1 more. That if the Big 12 expands beyond 14, those schools may get the UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, BYU treatment. We're going to have to work our way into this. So, remember, you leave one conference, you go to the other. You got to get your media partners to then shell out however much all the other schools are making. That's what they got to shell out more for you. ESPN Disney's laying off 7,000 people the next year. Are they really in a hurry? They've got the college football rights, the NBA rights. We've talked about this.
Yeah, I don't think it's the layoffs. I do think it's the college football rights and the NBA rights that they would look right at Sankey and go, I don't know what to tell you. You're not a priority right now. Time now for our play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us today?
Well, what's better than hitting a walk-off home run on your birthday? And that's exactly what Josh Palacios did to end the Phillies.
It's pretty easy. The bunt.
2-0 is slammed to right and deep. Castellanos back, and it's gone. A walk-off home run on his birthday. Josh Palacios wins it for the Pirates.
Palacios goes 3 for 5. Pirates win 6-4. Take 2 out of 3 from the Phillies. Thank you very much, Pittsburgh.
Spoken for the Marlins fan there, because that put the
sir.
Marlins half a game ahead of the Phils.
Yes, sir.
And that is our play of the day. And that wild card is crazy in the National League.
So you got the Marlins and the Brewers, who are technically tied for 5th. So one would be the 5, one would be the 6. Phillies are what, a half game back?
And the Giants are only a game ahead of them.
And the Diamondbacks are only a game behind the Marlins and the Brewers.
Correct. And the Cubs are 3.5 back, and even the lowly Padres, 2 games below 500, are only 5 back.
And if you think the Angels are in it in the wild card in the American League, and they're 4 back, well, then you can't discount the Padres at 5 back, can you?
I don't know how you can, and I know the Padres may be sellers in the next 48 hours. Oh, man, that has got to be an incredibly difficult decision if you're running the Padres.
What a disappointing season.
Oh, crushing. I mean, they spent $250 million. They're all now. I will say they're selling out every game. They're drawing 41,000 a night. They do the math. They're going to draw 3.2, 3.3 million. I mean, that's got to go a long way to. But also, they lost their regional sports network deal, didn't they? Or they're on the verge of losing it. I thought the Padres lost theirs.
I thought they were one of the teams that did as well.
Yeah. But yeah, hugely disappointing. Mets, the biggest disappointment. Padres, the second biggest. And then, I don't know.
And the Yankees may pass both of them when it's all said and done.
Don't worry. Brian Cashman to the rescue, Yankee fans. It'll be fine. Really. Most overrated GM in the last 25 years. Don't worry. He'll come through for you. Yeah, Brian Cashman to the rescue. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
A sign-in trade? What do you mean by a sign-in trade? He's a free agent at the end of the year.
You're plug your cord in there. You're kind of snap, crackle, and popping.
RCB, what are you talking about? A sign-in trade? Okay, he's a free agent at the end of the year. It's just a matter of are they going to keep him or trade him. He's been pitching great, by the way. Arguably the best performance of
their
his career.
broadcast. I don't know who. I watched a couple innings, and I don't know who the broadcasters are, and I don't really much care. But their announcer just kept thinking it was a rock concert. Their color guy. Wave your hands in the air like you just don't care. Look at the fans out there in the outfield. It's party time. It was like a karaoke machine. It was awful.
The Padres?
Yes.
I think it's Don Orsillo and Mark Grant.
Okay.
Who, believe it or not, grade out as when the fan surveys and what have you.
I can see where the fans would really like him. When you're watching a neutral on MLB Network and it's a home broadcast, it's like it was hokey.
Because I think they grade out 1 or 2. Orsillo was the guy who did the Red Sox forever and was unceremoniously
Play had nothing to do. It was color guy.
Yeah, Grant, former pitcher.
It was. I mean, it was just hokey. I get where the home team would like it, but when you're watching an MLB broadcast, it's different. I wouldn't broadcast the same way. If I'm on MLB Network, I'm broadcasting a little differently.
Do you think they knew they were on MLB Network?
Yes.
Oh, because MLB Network can just
no, but they had the whole game.
Gotcha. Okay. Hader, Snell, their contracts are up. Soto's the Padre who has a year left. Yeah, a lot of Rays fans want them to bring in Snell and Hader.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Greg Auman of Fox. He covers the NFC South. We'll talk a little Tampa Bay Bucks with him at the top of the hour. Antwan Staley, who covers the Jets for the New York Daily News. He'll join us 1 hour from now. You're going to see contact at NFL training camps today. Today's the first day they can let them go at each other. And if you listen to some of the guys, they are chomping at the bit just to hit their own teammates. Yeah. 38 days from the Lions and the Chiefs kicking off the NFL season. But the Hall of Fame game's Thursday night, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, if you're really foaming at the mouth, scratch that itch, so to speak. In, about 84, 85 hours from now. Meanwhile, Major League Baseball trade deadline's a little over 34 hours away. It's 6 o'clock Tuesday night. A lot of wheeling and dealing. And I am not saying this because I grew up rooting for this team. I'm saying it because Miller and Moulton are really big on you need to look in the mirror and be honest in some self-evaluation. Who are you? What are you? Where do you stand? Okay? And the Mets, 48, 72 hours ago, took a look in the mirror and concluded, yeah, we ain't doing anything this year. And you know what? With the oldest core in baseball, I don't know if this core can do anything next year. Why would we think these guys would be any better next year when they're a year older? So why don't we start trading them? Our system's not that great. So come to think of it, we're a mess. Why don't we try to clean it up?
Well, I love it. And I know it wasn't just done this way, but I love that Robinson's traded to the Marlins.
Right. Who,
First
by the way,
domino falls.
Got the save yesterday for the Marlins.
But he gets traded, and Scherzer's comments are, I need to talk to the owner.
Okay.
And as soon as he talked to the owner, he's gone too.
Right.
How'd that talk go?
And Verlander was asked after pitching yesterday, and he goes, well, I got to admit, I kind of like it here. I'm a little surprised by what's going on. And I just need to know, are we all in on next year? Because if we are, I can finish this year out, and I'll be fine if we're all in next year. But if we're kind of retooling and taking a step back, he goes, yeah, I'm 40. I only got a couple years left. I'm not really in the business of, taking a step back. I kind of came here to win. We won 101 games last year. If you're saying we're not going to be that kind of team again in the next year or so, I probably need to pitch elsewhere. So I wouldn't be surprised if by 6 o'clock Tuesday night, Justin Verlander's the Dodger.
I'd much rather he be a Red or a Marlin or a lot of other teams, but you're going to be right.
Well, here's the problem. First off, even if the Mets pick up for his contract what they did for Scherzer, and they picked up the majority of his remaining money, I mean, he's making $43 a year.
Right.
I mean, it still means that the Marlins would have to pay a pitcher $20 million, who then has an option, by the way, for 2025 at $35 million. And even if the Mets pick up 20 of that, it means they'd have to pick up 15. So are you picking up, if you're the Marlins, you're going to pay a 41 and 42-year-old pitcher $35 million. And never mind what the Mets are going to ask. And they might ask more of you than even the Dodgers because you're a division rival.
David, I get it. I just don't want to see, Verlander looks as if he's figuring it out right now, and he's pitching really well.
Yeah, his ERA in the last 7 starts is under $1.50. Right.
I would just much rather see him go to a team not named the Dodgers. That's all. It's as simple as that.
And I totally agree. Listen, I think if he had his preference, him and his wife would go right back to Houston. They loved it there. He won 2 World Series there. Why wouldn't he go back? They could win it again this year. They apparently don't have the system. They don't have the prospects to give the Mets. I mean, now the Marlins do, but the Mets would probably gut them of their top prospects. That's a difficult deal for both sides to make. The Reds, they ain't giving up their prospects. Come on. Look at what they're all about. Arizona, you name the team that's not going to give up their prospects.
I understand and I get it. It's just greedy that I would rather see him go to a team that I haven't seen in this position in a while as opposed to the Dodgers. That's all.
Right. But I thought it was good for baseball that when Scherzer got traded, now that kind of opens up the prospects of, hey, maybe people we didn't think are available. I was desperately rooting for the Texas Rangers yesterday to beat the Padres. Desperately. Because I wanted the Padres to come to the realization that the Mets did. Because if they decide in the next 34 hours they want to be sellers, they got Blake Snell, Josh Hader, whose contracts expire at the end of the year. And for that matter, they've offered $400 million to Juan Soto, and he has said no. And his contract expires in a little over a year. I mean, they could determine who wins the World Series if they want to trade these guys. I mean, they really could. Even the Braves are like, oh, man, don't trade them in the National League. Come on now. We don't want to face them. Either keep them, because you guys ain't making the playoffs, or send them to the American League. Will you please?
So who will make the big deal, if anyone? Some pitchers are going to go. I don't know how many bats will go as far as big bats. Like the Soto's the biggest one that's out there. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah, you got the third baseman for the Nats, who is definitely going to go because there's quite a few teams. The Yankees need a third baseman. Marlins need a third baseman. I mean, he's going to go. There's a 27-year-old outfielder for the Nats who's having a career year. He's going to go. The Mets are going to trade Pham, who's a solid bat. It wouldn't shock me if he ends up back with the Rays.
Will Alonso go?
He's like Soto. He's a free agent at the end of 2024. I don't think so, because I think they need somebody to market, quite frankly. And also, they've re-signed a few of quote-unquote their guys. He's one of their guys. He came up through the system. I mean, he's an obvious for the Rays because he's from Tampa. He's a big bat. You could stick him right. I mean, obviously Alonso on the Rays would be tremendous. Keep him out of the field, though. He's not a good first baseman.
And that's fine.
But the Rays yet to make a deal, and their fan base desperately wants a deal. They are not happy that all these deals are being made. And it's these type of deals too. Toronto acquiring reliever Jordan Hicks.
Well, it's finishing second when they think they had. I mean, they lost out on Lynn, the pitcher from the White Sox there.
Right. Went to the Dodgers.
Went to the Dodgers. When the Rays fans looking at their system, knowing that they've got enough to get these players, and they're finishing second for the guys that they want. That's where the frustration to me is coming from, David.
The Angels made their third significant trade of the last 5 days last night with Colorado, getting a first baseman and an outfielder. Texas has made 3 trades. The Cardinals has sold off 3 pitchers yesterday. None of them went to Tampa Bay. I mean, you got Rays fans going, hey, come on here. I'm tired of hearing about this great system. I mean, at some point, you got to give some of it up. We need help. Played 500 ball for 10 weeks. We need help. And I don't blame them, by the way. Don't blame them at all. Yep, give up 1 or 2 guys that, it's going to be painful. I'm not talking about giving up your top 5 prospects here, but come on. You need a bat. Get Tommy Pham back on the damn team, okay? He would help. Get the third baseman if you need to from the Nats. Come on now. You can go get a pitcher, by the way. You could pull this off.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for, is them to get some bullpen help, maybe another starter. They missed, like I said, they missed out on Lynn, but I thought they'd get pitching, David. That's what we've determined they've needed for a month and a half, and there have been plenty of pitchers out there that you just brought up 5 guys that have been dealt, David. They've not gotten any of them. They've got to make a move to help their bullpen out.
Hey, listen, we were just talking about it. Why not Verlander? Now, here's the thing with Verlander. You got to get him. He's got to waive his no-trade clause, and him and his wife, Kate Upton, there's probably only 2 or 3 places they want to go. And I don't know if Tampa St. Pete's one of them. But remember, the Rays finished second for Freddie Freeman. They made him a $25 million a year offer. Well, Verlander's got the rest of this year, 2024, and he has to meet certain conditions to even have to pay him for 2025. The Mets will pay half his contract. If you're the Rays, Shane McClanahan, Justin Verlander at the top of your rotation. Really? Justin Verlander, Shane McClanahan to start any series against anybody. You want to win a World Series or not? By the way, while you're at it, you can take Tommy Pham and take one of their 2 relievers that they're offering up, the lefty Raley or the righty Ottavino, who both are pitching well.
David, I was going to say, if you can go get Verlander, call San Diego and get Hader too. And I'm not messing around here. If you want to win a World Series, go win a World Series.
You know what the Mets want? They want young arms. They have no young pitching in the system. You've got it. Not only that, you don't just get Verlander for 2 months. You get him for at least 2014. And if he throws 140 innings and he's not on the IL, you get him for 2015. And you're going to get him at half price because the owner in New York will pay it.
And I know you mean 24 and 25, but it would be awesome if you could get 2014 and 2015 Justin Verlander.
Well, that's
true. He's really good.
That is true. little flashback there.
Because that guy, I'm not worried about bringing back for that option year for 25.
Although I will say, he won the Cy Young last year. In his last 7 starts, his ERA is under $1.50. I think you're getting 2014, 2015 Verlander, for that matter. Come on now. I mean, how serious are we? And there's a multi-year thing. By the way, the lefty reliever, Raley, he's got an option for next year. He's been terrific this year, by the way, and he's durable. You can pitch him a lot, which is good because Kevin Cash likes to pitch his relievers a lot.
Boy, that Verlander thing with all the pitchers that are coming back that are hurt for the Rays that you've got done in the year. I mean, you're setting
up that rotation
for next year. Holy cow.
Exactly.
When Springs is coming back and Rasmussen's coming back, and all of a sudden you look at your pitching staff and go, no one can touch this.
I actually think the big impediment to that deal, for as much as the Rays don't want to pay the price, and the price is, Mark was all over this the middle of last week. We were just adding up the buyers and the sellers, and he's like, you're going to have to overpay this year. There's just not enough to satisfy the market. Too many teams in contention, not enough players. You're going to have to pay the price. And you look at who organizations are dealing. They're dealing top 10 prospects in the organization. I mean, Texas just traded their 3rd best prospect to the Mets, and some people thought he was their best. For a year and a change of Max Scherzer, who's pitching like a number 3 starter, by the way. I mean, Verlander's at least pitching like a 1. How about, let's just say they don't win the East. They have a best of 3, and you're going to throw Verlander, McClanahan, and Eflin. Seriously? You're not going to win that series? You really think you're losing that series? Come on.
Only way you're losing that series is if you did it the same way you did a year ago and you don't score any runs.
Right. And then we go to the next series. By the way, you know who you're lining up? Verlander, McClanahan, and Eflin. Let's go. Do we want to win a World Series or not? I mean, at some point, you have to ask that question out loud. Doesn't somebody in the room have to turn around and go, are we trying to win a World Series or not? Or are we hoping to win a World Series?
And if we're just hoping to win a World Series, then we just keep on keeping on with what we've been doing. And we're going to put a really competitive team out there every year. And unless the stars completely align, we're going to come up short.
By the way, how much money we make for every playoff game we host? Can somebody do that math? That's a few million a game, right? That's like $2-3 million a game. How many playoff games do you think we're going to be hosting if we make this deal? Might be enough to pay for Justin Verlander, to be quite honest with you. This may not cost us a dime. Between the rich guy in New York and some playoff home games, I think we got this baby covered.
So we think the Rays should be all in. Whether or not they decide to be in the next 48 hours is what we'll be paying attention to with the trade deadline looming on Tuesday. Miller and Moulton. The Great 8. We'll talk some football, switching gears next on the Florida Sports Network.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
He's tight for time. So,
okay. Make sure you have him on when the segment starts.
Yeah. Because he said he has no more than 12 minutes. So, kind of thinking we'd do 10 and.
Yep.
He's at Bucks camp. Oh, Mark, what game did
Friday?
They won. The streak is over.
1-17.
Was that the rain delay game too? The Mets, or no?
David,
no, that was Thursday.
Was that the rain delayed game?
Well, because I was just wondering if they sat through the rain delay. That was Thursday. Because they were losing when it started raining.
Is Australia beating Canada 3-0 a big upset?
I think the score is surprising. She saw Alonso homer twice. She saw Scherzer's last start.
Yep.
She's all happy. No, Larry K. I don't think he gets traded. I think the owners dug in. And Taylor's got no leverage. He's entering year 4 for a running back. I mean, he's stuck.
There's a better shot of him getting put on the non-injury list.
Did you see, by the way, his tweet? His tweet was, I don't have a back injury. I have no idea what you're talking about. If you're quoting sources, you need better sources.
Right.
I connected with him for a second, but then I lost reception. I'm going to call him again.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And just like that, it's the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We're just halfway home for those in the 239, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Make sure you go to the site and sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow night. Greg Auman's kind enough to join us. He's with Fox Sports. He covers the NFC South. He's in Tampa with the Bucs these days. Follow Greg on Twitter at Greg Auman, A-U-M-A-N, A-U-M-A-N. Greg, it's David and Mark. We know you're busy. Thanks for doing this. How are you?
Doing fine. Hope you are as well.
All right, let's get to it then. The Bucs. We had a listener that wants to know about how does Jensen look on the O-line. They're moving Wirfs to left tackle. They drafted the guard from North Dakota State. I mean, I know it's early. What can you tell us?
We're being really careful with Ryan Jensen. It's like he's had days off already. Haven't really seen him working in like full squad, full line, 11 on 11 type work. So even though he came back and played in that playoff game, 6 months ago, that knee is still in the recovery process, I guess what I would say. So I think they're fully confident he can be ready for the start of the season, but they're being real careful right now. Everything around him has changed. Like you said, Tristan Wirfs going to left tackle, Matt Filer coming in as the left guard. As you mentioned, they drafted Cody Mauch in the second round. He'll be the right guard. It certainly looks like he's the only guy that's really been getting first-team reps there. And then Luke Gedeke, who was a left guard last year, is now the right tackle. So a lot of changing parts, and I think they hope between that and a new offensive scheme in general, I think they're hoping it'll be a better line than it was last year when they kind of had to get rid of the ball pretty quickly with Tom Brady.
What are your thoughts on Baker Mayfield? I mean, just an open-ended question. What do you think he can provide, and is he ultimately going to be the guy for Tampa?
I think he will be. They're doing a good job of making sure it's a competition going into the season. Kyle Trask has waited 2 years for that shot, so it makes sense. But I think Baker's experience, his leadership, is hard for Trask to overcome. He's a guy that only has 9 career passes. So you have Mayfield's got 100 touchdowns. He's led a team to the playoffs. He's won a game in the playoffs. I think he has the confidence that you need to kind of step in and take over for Tom Brady. That's not an easy thing for a quarterback to do. So I think he's done a good job of kind of winning over his new teammates. This situation here is probably a lot like what he had in Cleveland in 2020, which is really his best season. He had 2 really good receivers there. He has 2 really strong receivers now in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I think really for him, it's just a matter of keeping his interceptions down. They had this issue with Jameis Winston for a couple of years here in Tampa. I mean, Mayfield has as many picks since he came into the league as any other quarterback in the league. So he just has to keep those in check. That'll be a big focus with Dave Canales and his new offense is minimizing turnovers. So he just has to keep that front of mind. I think he'll be a playmaker. I think he's somebody that can move the ball down the field and find the right targets and get touchdowns. This offense can be better than it was last year. It really wasn't that good. Even though you had Tom Brady at quarterback, they produced really inefficiently in the key areas like red zone and goal line and third down. And that's why they scored only 18 points a game.
He's Greg Auman. He covers the NFC South for Fox. He's in Tampa. Follow Greg on Twitter, Greg Auman, A-U-M-A-N, A-U-M-A-N. listen, you've been there the last 2 years as well. You've seen Kyle Trask. Is he improved enough where this is a legitimate competition? It concerned us from afar that he was hardly ever listed as the number 2 quarterback, even last year, his second year. It's tough to go from the number 3 quarterback to the number 1 quarterback. Is he improved enough where this is a legit competition?
I think so. I mean, I think he's on the weak side of the competition. I mean, it would take. I think he's shown that he's improved, and I mean, it's one of those where he really hasn't had meaningful reps in 2 years. So to get that now, I think he's definitely shown. I think he's changed his body a little bit. I think he's a little leaner, a little quicker. He's still a smart quarterback. I think for Kyle Trask to win this job, Baker Mayfield probably has to help him. Like Baker probably has to actively lose the job while Kyle Trask is outperforming expectations. And this, again, the other thing is that it's not to say that the guy that wins this job in week 1 is going to start 17 games. You have injury, you could have ineffectiveness on the field. If they're not a good team, it probably is in their best interest to make sure they know what they have in Kyle Trask. So this is a battle we talk about in terms of August, but I think it's something where if the winner of this battle doesn't play well, there's always the chance you go to the other option during the season.
Going into August, who do you think right now is the best team in that division?
It's really close. I would probably say Carolina by a shade right now, but I would be more emphatic in saying how close and wide open I think the division is. Last year, every single team was within 1 game of first, and the Bucs were probably the only one that really took a slide back in terms of talent. For New Orleans to add Derek Carr and Jamal Williams and keep most of their veteran leadership on defense is strong. Atlanta was probably the biggest spenders of anybody. They'll have 5 or 6 new defensive starters. Obviously, you add an offensive talent like Bijan Robinson, that changes things there. But they do have a very unproven quarterback in Desmond Ridder, and no one really knows how a really small sample from last year will translate to a full season. And then Carolina, I go back to Carolina. I think I start with them in front. We don't know how a rookie quarterback is going to develop, how quickly Bryce Young can play at a high level. That's always been a limiting factor for NFL teams. But I do like Frank Reich. I like the staff there. I think their defense is really solid and came together last year, and they were able to keep pretty much the key parts of that together. So no, it's one of those where you're real hesitant. It's not like someone's going to win this division and clinch in week 13 or something. I think this will be down to the wire within a game, tight finish type thing.
Coaching staff's feeling defensively. They've suffered some losses in the secondary. Their linebacking core, they've got an aging, terrific linebacker and an unhappy, terrific linebacker. It's nice that Barrett doesn't start out on a PUP list. That's encouraging, but boy, do they need a pass rush. Talk to us about the defense. Where does the coaching staff feel that defense is at in comparison to the last 3 years?
Yeah, I think most of the pieces are there. I mean, they kind of survived free agency better than I thought they would in terms of being able to keep Jamel Dean, bringing Levante David back. But I think that the key to this defense taking any step forward is creating turnovers. They were really, really bad at it last year. We're not an active defense. We're not a game-changing defense. I think they had times where they kept opponents in check. But there was a time they were talking about 30 turnovers from this defense, and they were nowhere near that. So having the secondary, with Dean and Davis back outside with Antwan Winfield kind of back in his normal role at safety, can be a strong suit. They don't have a ton of depth there. They don't necessarily have nickel figured out. You mentioned linebacker. Both of those guys could be in their last seasons in Tampa, so that's kind of different motivations for both of them. Levante David has looked sharp, but he's at an age where, again, linebackers don't usually last that long in the NFL. Shaq Barrett has looked good. Him being healthy is also a huge difference maker in that they don't have a ton of depth at outside linebacker. I think they've done a good job of kind of retooling the defensive line. Akeem Hicks is gone. Rakeem Nunez-Roches is gone. They just brought Will Golston back last week. But this is a team that had like the number 1 run defense in the NFL 2 years going. It was kind of one of the strengths of their Super Bowl team, and they got away from that a little bit. They had teams run on them last year. So I think if they are to get back to kind of being a top 10 NFL defense, they have to be really stout at the line of scrimmage. They can't let teams run on them.
Final question, Greg, because we know you're pressed for time and we really appreciate you jamming us into your work day. Does this feel more like it's Todd Bowles' team now? You know, he doesn't have the guy who handed him the job looking over his shoulder maybe as much. Brady's not there. Does this feel a little different?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely these coaches this time of year always tell us like, oh, every year's a new year, every team is a new team. And it was really kind of hard to say that because the 3 years with Brady were very much the same team. I mean, even last year, I would say with Bowles taking over, he took over so late. He literally inherited all of Bruce Arians' staff. Bruce was still around the team a lot, so it didn't even feel like change. So this definitely feels like a much more of a, you don't want to say a reboot, but just a different identity. I think 10 of their 13 oldest players from last year aren't back. So they're a much younger team. They're going to lean on rookies more. Bowles didn't take over till the end of March, the year he got the job. And that meant, again, like they've only added, it's only 2 or 3 new assistants, but, I think they've done a good job of kind of making it more his staff. I think he was tight with most of Bruce's guys anyway, but just to give him the normal new coach, this is your team, how do you brand it as your own? I think this is a better case for that. And again, it needs to be a competitive team. He definitely, they fell short of expectations enough last year that even though you lose Tom Brady, I think there's an urgency to him keeping this team competitive, at least in the division. And I think they're still confident they can do that.
Greg, thanks for fitting us into your busy day. We really appreciate it. Hopefully we talk again before the opener.
Oh, definitely. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.
Greg Auman of Fox. Follow him on Twitter. Greg Auman, A-U-M-A-N, A-U-M-A-N. Greg Auman, been around a while, based out of Tampa, and that's why he starts his NFC South tours with a firsthand look at the Bucs, and that's why we asked him all those questions. He works for Fox.
Bucs have the earliest bye in the league. They have their bye after week 4. So they go at Minnesota, home for Chicago, home for Philadelphia, at New Orleans, and then the bye.
By the way, that Chicago game's a big game for both. You know what I mean? Tampa still thinks that they're a good team. None of us do. And Chicago thinks, hey, it's time to improve. Time for us to start winning games.
Well, David, if you look at it by Vegas, they will be a underdog at Minnesota.
Right.
They'll be a favorite at home for Chicago.
Slight. I think that'll be small.
They will be an underdog at home for Philadelphia.
Yes.
And they will be an underdog at New Orleans.
Right. I mean,
slight.
Doable, probably in the 5-point range. But you're right. Yeah.
I mean, of those games, those Minnesota, Chicago, New Orleans should all be considered toss-up type games. Philadelphia is the only game where they're going to be at a clear-cut disadvantage.
You don't think they'll be like 6.5-point dog at Minnesota?
No, I think it'll be more like 4.
Okay.
If Minnesota's tore this down the way that everybody has talked about, and week 1, strange things happen. You and I have talked about it and documented it for a decade. But if Tampa's a playoff team, they can't be 0-4, obviously.
Right.
They want to really avoid being 1-3.
Right. I mean, 1 or 2 going to New Orleans, you beat the Saints and okay, right there in this division. What do we think the number is to win the NFC South? Over, under 8.5? I did it for a reason.
Oh, it's so tough. I think someone gets to 9. I'll go over.
Okay. All right. Good for you.
Antwan Staley coming up in 25 minutes right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
It's time for Dr. Roto's yearly house call, Tuesday, August 15th, 7 o'clock, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. The second annual Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit, courtesy of the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. Dr. Roto will give you all the tips, secrets, while answering your questions so you can win in fantasy football. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com. $50 gets you dinner, non-alcoholic drinks, and Dr. Roto. Seating is limited. Sign up at floridasportsnetwork.com today.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Taylor, I would say the Bucks also had John Gruden as coach for both of those journeyman quarterbacks, veteran quarterbacks playing well for them. We didn't get into it with Greg, but to me, come on, this is Todd Bowles. He's a defensive coach. He's going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to protect their quarterback. I do think the offensive line play will be better. Wirfs will obviously be better at left tackle. Jensen will give them better play than they got from the center position last year. Their guard play last year was not good. Their right tackle's a problem. I really don't understand why Jerry's being this difficult with Zach Martin. He's got plenty of cap room. He could throw Zach a $6 million signing bonus right now. He's got 2 years left on his contract. He could shed that out over the 2 years. It's $3 million a year. And he could give Micah his extension and still be fine. I don't know why he's making a big deal about this.
I mean, pissing off the anchor of your line before the season starts?
Just, he's the 8th highest paid interior lineman, and he's arguably the best one in football. I mean, he's a Ring of Honor guy. He, quite frankly, has a Hall of Fame resume. And the numbers, by the way, when he plays and when he doesn't play are startlingly different. Yards per play, yards per carry, stunningly different. Like 2 yards per play different. That's pretty remarkable for an offensive lineman. You got anything here?
No, I
Okay.
don't.
All right. That's fine.
And I was looking for fun stuff.
By the way, good morning, Taylor. Thanks for listening. Drew Brees didn't sit for 3 years. He got drafted. He played right away with the Chargers. Rivers was the one that sat for 2 years.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com. We know many of you on vacation last week. You're getting back in town with school starting up in a week and a half.
Woohoo!
2 weeks tomorrow is our Fantasy Football Summit. Dr. Roto and a nice meal, all in the cozy confines of the Crown Plaza, Bell Tower Shops, Fort Myers. Make a night of it, couple hours. Get all the info that you need so that you can kick butt in your fantasy football draft and team this year. Get it from one of the best in the business. He is statistically, over the last 10 years, one of the 20 best fantasy football guys in the country, Dr. Roto. We are bringing him to you in an intimate setting. You can ask him 412 questions. He contractually has to answer them. Don't know what more we can do for you. Then we'll have him on weekly during the season. floridasportsnetwork.com. Sign up for it. Once it's sold out, it's sold out. That's it. We don't want any complaining. We warned you. floridasportsnetwork.com. So there. Sorry to have to get so rough and tough with our audience there, Mark.
But sign up, damn it.
Yeah. So did you hear about Dalvin Cook's weekend? So he goes to the Jets. And he's there, I think, yesterday. And the crowd is chanting his name. Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook. And then they start with a sign Dalvin, chanting to management and what have you. He's waving. So he's out on the streets in the city before he goes to camp because he's staying at a hotel in the city. And he walks into a deli and there's a guy reading, I don't know if it was the Daily News. Okay, and Antwan Staley, who covers the Jets, is going to join us in about 15 minutes, or if it was the Post, but he's reading a New York paper. And there's this guy sitting there reading a story about Dalvin Cook coming to visit. And Dalvin Cook looks over the guy's shoulder, and the guy has no idea it's Dalvin Cook. And he looks at the guy, at Dalvin, and Dalvin makes a comment, and the guy says, "Man, wouldn't it be great if we signed this guy? We really could win the Super Bowl." And Dalvin's like, "Yeah. Uh-huh." Guy had no idea it was Dalvin Cook.
That's fantastic.
Isn't that terrific?
My favorite of the weekend is Doug Peterson. Anytime, come on. It was Rex Ryan in Hard Knocks. Now let's go get a snack.
Yep. After yelling at them, after berating them.
Right. Now let's go get a snack.
Right. Not run sprints. Let's go eat.
But Doug Peterson brought an ice cream truck to practice.
Yep.
It's hot.
Yep.
It's really hot.
Uh-huh. We all know how hot it's been. And unlike usually where the northern part of the state is cooler than the central or southern part of the state. No, they've had, heat warnings in Jacksonville, and it was 98 degrees in Jacksonville yesterday. Trust me.
So I thought bringing the ice cream truck out after practice was absolutely fantastic.
And listen, if you're not going to be nice to the players now, I mean, come on, July and August. I mean, you can't be nice to them come September. So you might as well be nice to them now.
But it wasn't an icy, now these kids all love ices. It was a good old-fashioned ice cream truck.
Right. No, he's not. Well, because he's into ice cream. That was all that's been his thing in the past. So it was nice that he decided he'd actually share it with the team.
It just, I have made a little health kick where I have stayed away from alcohol and ice cream. And I've had more trouble staying away from ice cream than I have alcohol, David. I would have attacked that in ways you would not have believed.
Does your community allow the ice cream truck through the gate? Yes or no?
No.
Really?
I mean, not unless it was a special event. I suppose someone could have put them on the visitor list.
So if the good humor truck shows up and comes to the front gate and the visitor, they won't get a pass?
No way.
Wow. Wow. Really? Because I know you think it's for kids and a lot of these, but even if it was an older community, it's ice cream. Who the hell doesn't like ice cream? Especially when it's 412 degrees outside, which it's been lately.
When's the last time you've seen an ice cream truck?
I actually saw one the other day.
Did you stop?
No. Wanted to, though. Tried to talk the wife into it. All right. And usually she's the one into sweets more than me. I couldn't convince her of it. I have to admit I was a sucker because back in the day, you could hear them coming.
Oh, yeah. The bells.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Little song.
And you're like, uh-oh, is that the ice cream truck? Where is it? I can hear it.
Bust out the Eddie Murphy delirious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I had an ice cream truck too. Oh, yeah. That was the best. It's funny. We also had a haircut truck.
What?
That's right. In Westchester, in Miami, there was a truck that everyone always thought was an ice cream truck, but instead it was a guy giving haircuts in his
Did
truck.
you ever get a haircut from the haircut truck?
Hell no.
Did you ever see anyone get a haircut from the haircut truck?
From a distance, but none of my friends. But he would
you
always...
could use the haircut truck right now, Felipe.
I suppose. But he would always play the same jingle, and we'd always think it was the ice cream truck, but it was never the ice cream truck.
I'm curious if we use that as the poll question today. Would you just get a haircut? Because I'm assuming that's a pretty cheap cut. And there are some people that don't spend any money on their hair. I know. I'm one of them. Okay. Who I'm just like, really? How much? Yeah, sure. What the hell? I'll give you a try.
There is no way in hell I would ever enter a haircut truck. Ever. For fear of my life.
And he didn't speak English. Mind you, this is Miami, so...
Well, I think I kind of like it better. Although, I just, how do I explain I want it rounded up top, square on the back? Anyway. It's like walking through the airport. You ever have a shoe shine?
All the time.
Okay. All right. Walking through the airport, did you ever sign up for one of those, what is it, like 12-minute massages?
No.
Ever do one of those?
Never once. They're too expensive.
Just, things I'm curious about. So a haircut truck, had never heard of that. Usually we're the ones saying things that Felipe's never heard of. He did he had a good time looking up Siskel and Ebert late last week. We lost Felipe for like an hour. The more he looked up Siskel and Ebert, the more intrigued he was with Siskel and Ebert.
I feel like I look up something once a day with you guys.
As well you should. That means you're learning, Felipe. That's a good thing.
Best education,
Now I've learned that there's a haircut truck, and I'm scared to death of it.
I'm all in. All in. No, I mean, I only
We're gonna
got
come up solving 48 cold cases. It's all going to be the haircut truck guy.
It's like a brown truck too. It's super suspicious.
Of course it is.
Is there a window? There's got to be a window. I've got to
There's-
be able to look outside.
there's-
I've got to be able to call for help if
I
need
think there's
be.
curtains behind those windows.
That's listen, I put a $20 bill in the air. I go, here you go. That's all I got.
Right, like Deadstroke says, it's like a mobile grooming pet service for humans.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Listen,
That's the thing now.
I need a haircut right now. I got to admit, I'd be tempted. Okay, if one came through the development, that I'd go with it.
So it does, and this is one of the things. It bothers David when he needs a haircut. I've needed a haircut for a month and don't care. Felipe, you and I just let it go. Just let it get wild. David's got to keep that high and tight, everyone. Antwan Staley, he'll keep it high and tight with us next on Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, Rudy, I went back there the last time I got my haircut, and they didn't charge me the senior citizen rate. I didn't say a word. I just went up. It was a different stylist. Okay. The woman was the one that gave me the senior citizen rate. The guy did not. So I didn't look old enough to him. Adam, how many crystals with cheese? Come on, be honest. Be honest. More than over, under 4.5.
Over.
12. Look at that. A little something for the effort there.
I have to be really honest. I'm almost at a food breakdown, David. I'm 20 days of being really, really healthy. And I could eat a large pizza by myself right now.
How much have you lost?
Probably about 10.
That's good. In 3 weeks? That's fantastic.
Got about 20 more to go.
Antwan's the guy you used to talk food with, right?
One of two, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to go there first? Because that was my first thought when booking him. My thought was, well, you've been based in the South, and we used to talk barbecue and wings. And
he was in Chicago for a while too, though, I thought.
Okay. Just wondering, how's this whole New York, New Jersey thing working out? I mean, food-wise, food's great. It's just different. The Angels are not making the playoffs, but that's a hell of a thought. I would love for them to make the playoffs. Not as much as Fox would love for them to make the playoffs.
Oh, man.
Well, and also ESPN. I mean, talk about fighting over a first-round series, best of three, as to who would get to televise it.
Yeah.
Texas kind of has to be all in. DeGrom's going to miss most of the next 2 years. Also, they put very quietly, you know why they made the move? They put Evaldi on the IL with a forearm strain. That's dangerous.
Get your steps in this morning, Felipe? He just leaves and walks around the building.
Whatever he's got to do to stay awake, keep his sanity. Maybe he's looking for an ice cream truck or the haircut truck.
He looks like a 70s ball player today. He's got that Marlins World Series cap on. Hair just coming out the back.
Oh, he let it go today. We talking Bake McBride here letting it go? What are we doing?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the top of the hour. The bonus hour awaits for those in the 239. Our final segment in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. We are Miller and Moulton. This is the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. It's been a little while. He's covering a different beat. He's Antwan Staley. He's with the Jets for the New York Daily News and covering the league at large. Follow him on Twitter, Antwan Staley. Antwan Staley. Antwan, it's David and Mark. How's life treating you?
It's good. Just staying busy, going through the circus and the madness. That's the Jets right now. So that's enough to keep me entertained, that's for sure. But it's good to talk to y'all again.
Antwan, is there anything that you found in the Jersey area that can come close to a Bee's or a Sam Jones barbecue?
Nah. Nah, not at all. I think the best barbecue is probably in the city. But in Jersey, no, you're not going to find any good barbecue in Jersey. Not at all. Like I'm trying to find a good cheesesteak place up in North Jersey. Like that's difficult too.
A good what place?
Cheesesteak.
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably got to go a little.
They're like Southern Jersey or
yeah, exactly. Right. Well, I mean, believe me, Antwan, I mean, we wanted to get to you to talk to you about the Jets, but, we used to talk food with you all the time. That was our first thought. It's like, well, wait a minute, man, he's covering the Jets now. I mean, this isn't Carolina. This isn't Florida. I mean, where's he going for ribs? Where's he going for barbecue?
Well, to be honest with you, in the Miami area, it wasn't necessarily a great barbecue either. Although I could find, so it was a couple of restaurants, but yeah, you have to go to like the North Florida for that.
All right. How just nuts is this? You've covered a lot of training camps. You've been doing this a long time. With the Aaron Rodgers there, with the circus that is the Jets media, what is this training camp like to cover?
It's a lot of media there, a lot of attention, a lot of eyes on Aaron Rodgers and the team, basically. I mean, we're talking about a team that went 7-10 last year, but all of a sudden they've become the media darlings of the NFL. And, you know, I'm sure we're going to get in. I'm sure you're going to ask me about Sean Payton's comments and Robert Saleh and all that. But people are, you know, some people don't like that. Some people think they're papal champions. Some people think that, you know, they're overhyped, things of that nature too. But, you know, the Jets, you know, a lot of people are really excited for the first time in years and believe that the Jets can do something special potentially when now that they acquired Aaron Rodgers. So it's just been a ton of attention throughout the media, and it's been a circus, to be quite honest with you, especially with Hard Knocks there.
Rodgers from afar seems remarkably different than the last 2+ years in Green Bay. I mean, this does seem to be like when Brady was able to escape Belichick in New England, you know, almost even Favre when he finally got to Minnesota and not feeling weighted down by whatever life is like as the franchise quarterback in Green Bay. I mean, you've covered Rodgers before. Is he as different as he appears?
Yeah, I mean, I equate it like this: like for anybody, have you changed when you change jobs, and sometimes you just stay at a place for a long time, and you know you get used to how things work, and you go somewhere else new, and it's just kind of like a reboot, a refresh, and that's kind of what Aaron Rodgers is dealing with right now. I mean, he's come in, you know, ever since he got traded from the Packers to the Jets, he looks like a guy that's very happy, very at peace, excited about the opportunity. And, you know, he believes this team has a shot to get his second Super Bowl ring. But, yeah, you're looking at him like, I don't know, like I've talked to people that covered him in Green Bay, but, you know, I find it refreshing that, one, that he goes up to players after the play is over and talks with them and try to tell them, like, hey, you need to do this, or this is what I saw, you know, defensive-wise or even offense-wise. And, you know, he's like another coach out there on the field, which is great. Because it's good to have Nathaniel Hackett and obviously Robert Saleh and the coaching staff there. But when you have a guy that accomplishes him, I think that, you know, speaks volumes to the rest of the roster. But yeah, for him, I just think that he's feeling like super refreshed right now, rejuvenated since this move has been made.
What will this offense look like week one, and how much more will it be developing? Because they were not a good offense last year. Obviously, Rodgers brings a lot to the table, but this offense needed work from a year ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we're still see because, you know, they could possibly sign Dalvin Cook. That would, you know, make them a much better offense, too. I know the Dolphins are also interested along with the Patriots in Cook, so that would be interesting. I know Breece Hall is still working his way back from the ACL tear that he suffered last October. Robert Saleh said he should be back by the time week one starts. How much they use him, who knows? Because running backs don't necessarily have the history of, you know, coming back from ACL injuries and being effective the first year out. So he should be in the lineup. But yeah, you got Garrett Wilson, wide receiver wise, Alan Lazar there. They also picked up Nicole Hartman, so that'll improve the receiving core. I think the big question with them is the offensive line. Dwayne Brown hasn't practiced yet. He's a little bit older. He'll be 38 there at left tackle. That's a big question there. He had shoulder surgery. He also brought in Billy Turner, who's, you know, played right and left tackle too. So yeah, I think the offensive line is still a major concern for the Jets too heading into the season. And it's still a big question mark, no matter if you have Aaron Rodgers or whoever back there, you got to have somebody to protect them.
He's Antwan Staley. He covers the Jets. He's also a columnist for the New York Daily News. Follow Antwan on Twitter at Antwan Staley. Antwan Staley, Staley. Well, Antwan, it's it for me. I mean, I don't think this is a championship offensive line. I hate their tackle situation. Now, I know it's Rodgers. He knows the offense. He can get rid of the ball quickly. He's dealt with bad offensive line play before. But, I mean, you know, Antwan, you take a look at who went deep in the playoffs last year. I mean, the Bengals got through with an above-average line. Is the Jets line with that tackle situation equal to the Bengals of the last couple years?
I think it remains to be seen. We have to see how Dwayne Brown holds up. I think when he plays, he's really good. I mean, he basically played on one shoulder last year, and I thought he was above average. So he's now 100% healthy and can get back to his regular form. Then I think they'll be fine at left tackle. Still, right tackle's a big question. Max Mitchell started 6 games for him last year. He had a blood clot situation. Again, you had Billy Turner, who's moved around the league a little bit, solid, but I don't know if he's necessarily a reliable option there at the right tackle position there. Mekhi Becton is somebody that also could figure in there, but he hasn't necessarily looked great in camp. So I don't know what his long-term prospects might be with the Jets, especially since they turned down his 5th-year option. But one thing I will say about the offensive line, they did get Elijah Vera Tucker back, somebody that played 3 different positions, which is rare on the offensive line last year. So that should help them at the guard position there. They hope to have a better year from Lincoln Tomlinson. The center position, they drafted Joe Tippin, but I imagine Connor McGovern will get the start there. He's a bit shaky last year too. But to answer your question, you got to have at least an average to above average offensive line, I think, to compete in the AFC. I think they're a playoff team, the Jets are. But to say they're the favorites to come out the AFC, I think is very short-sighted. I personally think Cincinnati's going to win the AFC, but you definitely can't count out the Chiefs, of course, when you have Patrick Mahomes.
No doubt. And the Jets, to me, if they do this, they're going to get it done early with defense. Do they have the best defense in that division, Antwan?
I would. That's a good. I would say yes, but it's a good. I think the Patriots and the Bills also have really good defenses too. I think they both finished in the top 10 last year. But I think right now I would give the slight edge to the Jets. Although I hear from Dolphin fans all the time that they played a lot of backup quarterbacks last year, but that's not really their fault. I mean, they still played. They played Aaron Rodgers. Even though he was a little bit banged up when they played him. They played Lamar Jackson, although the Ravens did beat them, and Joe Burrow. But, I think the defense did their job and did what they were supposed to do, even in the losses. It's just that their offense couldn't stay on the field, which ended up wearing the defense down. But, I think I would give the slight edge to the Jets over the Bills right now. But Bills and the Patriots have 2 tremendous defenses there. And I think the Dolphins will be a little bit better this year with Vic Fangio coming to the fold as well.
Well, with the young running back coming off an ACL and he's not ready yet, it would seem to us from afar, I know they got Carter, the kid from Carolina, but I mean, it would seem as if the Jets need Dalvin Cook. They more so than the Dolphins, even more so than the Patriots, who have a running back who may be a number 1 running back already in-house, and he's young. I mean, are we correct in looking at the Jets situation going, got to admit, they need to pay Dalvin Cook. They need him.
If you're trying to go for it and win a Super Bowl, then I think so. It'd be like a 1-year thing. I think the problem with Dalvin is, and with the Jets situation, I think he would like to have more long-term security and stability after just 1 year. Because if they sign Dalvin, it's just for a year. I mean, they might have like a 3-year contract or whatever, just on the surface. But it's really a 1-year deal because they like Breece Hall and he's going to be the running back moving forward after 2023. With the Dolphins, it might be a way for Dalvin Cook to stay there. And obviously he's from there, still lives down there the off season, even when he was in Minnesota. So I think, and obviously the allure playing at home, I think that's probably his first choice, but I just don't think the Dolphins have, met his contract demands there. But I think, the Jets probably do need him. They need him, more than the Dolphins do. Cause I think the Dolphins, even though they don't necessarily have a, stud running back, they have several running backs in the fold in Mike McDaniel's system that they can use. And they also drafted a guy who I think is going to be really talented out of Texas A&M. So, I think the Dolphins will be fine without Dalvin Cook this year.
Sean Payton eviscerated Nathaniel Hackett and then eviscerated the Jets last week. Now, he's kind of dialed down the comments and said he probably shouldn't have said some of them or regrets them. But it doesn't seem that you need to galvanize a team in training camp. How much of an effect, if at all, will this have long-term for the Jets?
Well, they play each other week 5, so it's going to be some bullet board material. I tell you that right now. When those 2 teams play, and I definitely can't wait to see it. But I think they understand the external noise. They understand not only they're getting positive vibes, but they're also getting people that they're praying for their downfall. They want to see them fail on a lot of different levels. I just had somebody tweet at me talking about the Jets are preseason training camp champions. So you got fans, and also I'm sure people are upset about it simply because we're talking about a team that has not made the play. They have the longest playoff drought in the 4 major professional sports. And we're talking about, some people are talking about them potentially making the Super Bowl. So I think that's kind of rubbing some people the wrong way, especially in the AFC East, where you got Buffalo has been the darling and the winner in a division for, 3 straight years in a row. And, that a lot of people are talking about the Jets. But yeah, I think they're aware of the situation, and I think they're using it to their advantage to help motivate them throughout the year.
Antwan, thanks for making time for us again. We really appreciate it. Safe travels, Hall of Fame game, and throughout the training camp, and hopefully we can talk again soon.
All right, no problem. It was good to hear from y'all. Y'all take it easy.
Antwan Staley, he's writing for the New York Daily News, not just reporting on the Jets. He's also a columnist. You can follow Antwan on Twitter at Antwan Staley, Staley. Miller and Moulton. And that's how we're going to do the NFL leading up to week 1. We're going to try to take you to as many of the 32 training camps as often as we can. Situation changes, guys get hurt, this, that, and the other thing. But as we've said, we don't think outside of injuries a whole heck of a lot happens in training camp. But, we'll give you as much of a taste as many different places as we can.
Obviously, being in the mornings, we won't do a whole lot of West Coast talk because, well, there's not a lot of people that want to get up at 3 a.m. for us. If we find any that will, we'll try. May have to force Ben Myler into covering a team for us. He can be our LA correspondent, get him really early one morning.
Yeah, that's a dadgum good point, actually. You're going to hear a lot of noise about college football and conference realignment. It's out there. It is in the system. And the word is that Arizona today or tomorrow is going to join Colorado in officially leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12. If we started listing all the other schools that have been mentioned since we last did a show to this one, I don't know if we'd have enough time.
Just listing the number of schools that have applied for an application to the Pac-12.
And one of them was South Florida. South Florida officially notified the Pac-12 and filed paperwork to join them as a member. Got to admit, if you're not a Power 5 and there's a spot open, I mean, you can always rescind your application, right? You can apply for a job. They call you, set up an interview. You can always cancel, right? If when you sent in the application, it was still a Power 5 conference, okay? When they call you and ask, are you still interested? If half the damn conference has gotten up and left, you may say, no, we're good.
But we've talked a little bit about it. Florida State still wants out of the ACC. We don't know what's happening with the newest member of the Big 12. They want to add one more for certain.
The word is it's Arizona. And that Arizona in-house has said, we're out of here. And they're going to notify the Big 12 either today or tomorrow that they're leaving and they're joining Colorado. What happens after that?
Miller and Moulton. For those of you along the line in Tampa, St. Pete, Lake City, or Port Charlotte, we'll do this all over again tomorrow morning. The thing we call the bonus hour is next in the 239 right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, but I will say the best thing to me about podcasts is you've got guys opening up telling stories. Mark, what we've always wanted, we did the interview with Antwan here. We got to cover, the nuts and the bolts. That's what you do with a reporter. When you get an athlete on, you don't want to ask them nuts and bolts stuff because you can almost predict what the answers are going to be. You want an athlete to tell a story. It's like my pet peeve when, this coming weekend's going to be Hall of Fame weekend. And you get 10 or 15 minutes or whatever you get. I would thank everyone beforehand. I'd call them all, send them letters, the whole deal. I would already thank everybody.
Well, and then you can just say, those that I've wanted to thank, I've contacted in the last week. And obviously my family and coaches, but everybody,
right.
You know who you are.
Right.
And I've told you. You can even be funny. If I didn't call you, I may owe you one.
Or, well, it shows what you really meant to me. Ba-dum-bum. But man, Edelman's out there. Did you see him on the Kelsey podcast? He's doing a Belichick impression. He's telling Belichick stories. Golly, it's great material. Matt Castle on a podcast told the Belichick story the other day. Hysterical. You know what'll be interesting? If Brady will do it as a broadcaster. Imagine if Brady just during a game, it's 27-10, late third quarter, something happens, and he just starts going, well, I had a wide receiver once, and he just tells us, that would be. Quickly. I don't know if you heard it, but the Castle story is apparently they played the Giants in the preseason the year before, and he got absolutely destroyed on a corner blitz. So it's the preseason again. They play the Giants, and Belichick calls him over and goes, okay, what's the look that they give when they like to blitz? And Castle said, I knew the question was coming. I watched film before the game. And he said, it's an over, coach, when they show the over. And Belichick goes, wrong. Brady? And Brady goes, it's the under. When they give the under look, that they blitz out of it. And Belichick goes, listen, I do not want to have to send a letter to your parents that say, Mr. and Mrs. Castle, okay, we're sorry your son was killed in action the other day because he's a dumbass. Spitz, I do not. I don't know if Mark's on board with me. I said from day one, I don't think Brady ever.
I think David's spot on with that one.
I think that gave both Fox and Brady cover. Fox at the time was struggling to find a replacement for Aikman.
Well, and I think David, I think the other part of this that you've brought up,
we're coming back,
is he now an owner?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this final day of July. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. That's where you go to sign up for our Fantasy Football Summit, which is 2 weeks tomorrow. You got 15 days to sign up. Dr. Roto and a nice meal. The Crown Plaza, Bell Tower Shop, Shoeless Joe's Sports Cafe in Fort Myers. It's Tuesday, August 15th. Started at about 7 o'clock at night. Takes about a couple hours. This way you'll get all the insight, all the info, all the cheat sheet info you need to then kick you-know-what when you do your fantasy draft in the next 3 to 10 days afterwards. That's how we roll. We're trying to help you out.
Sign up today, floridasportsnetwork.com, the Miller and Moulton Fantasy Football Summit with Dr. Roto, brought to you by the law office of Michael F. Hornon. You may even get free legal advice at this thing, too. Who knows? Who knows all the free stuff you're going to get?
I know. I think he's going to be there. So he, by the way, did send in a comment in our Twitch chat room during the show today. Usually he's commenting about something that he disagrees with us that we said. He just made the comment, I'm going to have to get up real early tomorrow because I'm watching the Women's World Cup team. They're playing at 3 a.m. tomorrow, our time. And I'm just curious, who's going to get up? You going to get up to watch the U.S. Women's World Cup team? I think is it Portugal?
It is Portugal.
And we need at least a draw. If we don't get a result, we're going to get eliminated. We need at least a draw. All right. We beat Vietnam 3-0. They beat Vietnam, I think, 2-0. And so we need at least a draw tomorrow to advance. If we only get a draw tomorrow, we're likely going to finish second in our group because the team we drew against, Netherlands, they're playing Vietnam. They're expected to win. We'd finish second in the group. In fact, there's a chance we can win tomorrow and still finish second in the group because of goal differential.
The hell is going on?
Exactly. So it's actually kind of important. And Portugal's not bad. They're not awful. They're not great, but they're not bad. And this is soccer. Crazy things happen. And it's been a Women's World Cup full of upsets for whatever that's worth. And we are the circled marked team in the tournament. Also got a little controversy. Apparently the coach, he didn't put in hardly any substitutes the last match. Megan Rapinoe didn't play. She was asked about it. She said, well, I thought I could have helped. So they're getting a lot of grief. Not enough women apparently are singing the anthem before the matches to appease some people.
Probably not enough, hardly any. I thought
right.
Maybe two.
Yeah, I think
the rest of them look like they don't even want to be out there for the anthem.
I know. Not quite sure what's up with that. So I'm just curious. Remember, I got up at 2:30 in the morning. That went to, what was it, China and Ghana were playing in the World Cup.
I thought it was Costa Rica, but
that's it. You're right. It was China and Costa Rica. You're right. Yep, 2:30 in the morning.
So are you setting the alarm earlier tomorrow to catch a little second half action at the very least?
That's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to wake up for 4. Because if I get my prep in, like today, I slept till 5. I slept in today. I slept till 5. I did all my prep last night. The only thing I had to do when I got up this morning was fill in the Yankees-Orioles score.
And you knew who won because,
right. When I went to bed, it was 9-3, and guess what? They won 9-3.
So basically, it's a quick check to see if anybody was traded in the wee hours of the night, which there have been a lot of.
Yes.
I mean, they've been going nuts with late night trades in this baseball deadline. I will give them credit for working 24/7.
And like I did have to fill in a trade. Okay. The Angels acquired 2 guys from the Rockies. They did so at like midnight Eastern. I didn't have that. Okay. Left a little room though in my MLB, box here in case somebody got dealt. Also, with all this conference realignment talk, it's like, well, hell, who knows who's going to leave the Pac-12 overnight? Got to leave a spot for it. So I'm just curious, 3 a.m., who's going to get up for it? I'll watch the second half. I'll do 4 a.m. I'll give the Women's World Cup team a second half at 4 a.m. I will. And by the way, it's going to be on Big Fox. How about that? 3 a.m., Big Fox. No color bars, no infomercial. Yeah.
I might really upset the household tomorrow morning. Because I'll put it on, and usually I don't turn the TV on until about 5 a.m. I try to be done with my getting ready at 5, and I throw on ESPN for that reason. Catch the last baseball game because they usually run their Sunday night baseball or the later baseball games first, and then just watch the ticker to see if I missed anything.
Right.
Fox will get that, but they'll get it at 4 a.m. right when I get out of bed. Dog's not going to be happy. I'm going to cut into his serious resting time.
Well, he can sleep between 6 and 10.
And he usually does.
I hope so. Otherwise, we need to talk. So, baseball trade deadline is 6 o'clock tomorrow night. The biggest series in the history of Lone Depot Park. That's the name of it, right, Felipe?
That is correct.
Yes, it's L. It's Lone with a small L.
Right.
Yes.
An L looks like an I. It's very stupid.
Yes, I know. I always think it's like an iCarly thing. Okay. Instead, it's Lone Depot Park. Marlins hosting the Phillies 4-game series.
Felipe, you caught that right. He went iCarly.
I can't believe you went iCarly.
I want you to understand that you heard that correctly.
That's insane.
Well,
what do you care? I had a child.
Yeah. He had a daughter,
Right.
Probably grew up watching iCarly, but I just can't believe you went iCarly.
Felipe, please. And I don't know if Mark did because, he had his son first, all right, and his daughter second, and there's a little bit of an age difference. So I don't know. But hell, I listened to Radio Disney. Okay? Yes, I know. On AM, by the way. Radio Disney on AM. It was like listening to the top 40 hits in the late 70s.
I was so proud yesterday. We made a little trip. My daughter spent the night at my mother's house last night, and a Zach Bryant song came on in my car from Austin. Great song. And the daughter says to me, she goes, "Is that your phone, Dad?" I said, "Of course that's my phone." She goes, "I thought so. I know that song. I like that one, Dad." No Radio Disney going on. They can do it in Mom's car. I don't care. Whatever goes on in Mom's car, they can listen to whatever the hell they want.
If the aux is good enough, you don't need radio. For music, specifically.
Correct.
Yeah. But just
you need it for talk radio. That's
right.
That's what's left.
Yeah.
That's why we try to continue with this thing.
Right. That's our hope anyway. I mean, we know videos killed the radio star and all, but we want to keep it around for as long as possible. So I'm going to be watching. I mean, first off, the Rays can bury the Yankees. I mean, that's another thing going on this week. For as much concern as there is about the Rays, because now they're in second place and they've been struggling. This, by the way, one of the 5 worst months in the history of the Rays. Like ever. Ever. In terms of wins and losses. It's staggering what a bad month this has been. And the Marlins have the worst record in Major League Baseball since the All-Star break. And yet here they are. They're both in the playoffs as of today. The Rays could bury the Yankees. And the Marlins have a 4-game series at home with the Phillies, who they're a half a game ahead of for the final wild card spot. And a trade deadline tomorrow night at 6. Telling you, got a lot going on.
The Rays have talked about getting pitching forever. They've done nothing thus far.
Zip, zilch, nada.
And we've watched them now come in second several times in trades. Whether big name guys, middle of the road guys, whatever the case may be. Right now, the Rays are not getting the players they've been going after. They've lost out.
And listen, there's 2 components to getting Justin Verlander. One is you've got to have the young pitching prospects that the Mets are desperately seeking. Well, the Rays have it, and the Dodgers have it. And then you got to give Verlander and his wife, Kate Upton, where it is they want to live, because they have a no-trade club. So they can pretty much go, nah, I ain't living there. So that, to me, is the biggest thing holding, because the Rays can just look at Steve Cohen and say, listen, we need you to pick up X amount of it. Steve would be like, to get those pitchers? Sure. Huh, what do you need? Hell, I'm picking up nearly $40 million for Scherzer. I can do that for you, too.
It's going to be the Dodgers.
I think so. But I actually think it's because Justin and his wife go, yeah, I'd much rather go to L.A. Even though, let's face it, the tax difference is millions of dollars. I mean, that was pointed out when Scherzer went to Texas, because there were other teams who were going after Scherzer. Scherzer went from playing ball in New York to playing ball in Texas. And apparently that earned him $2.7 million over the course of the next 8 months of baseball.
So obviously it would be the same type of figure for Verlander.
Right. Versus California versus Florida in terms of taxes. That's probably $2-3 million difference. In fact, I'll bet it's at least $3 million, because California taxes are higher. Hell, they have their own special millionaires tax out there.
Kate probably talked to Giselle. Giselle said, I didn't really like Tampa. I preferred Miami.
But it's not bad. St. Pete's beautiful, too.
No one knows they are there because really no one comes to the games.
Besides, the season's only 6 months. You can live wherever you want.
But they're destined for LA, in my opinion. But as David's made the case, Tampa has the resources to make a trade like that happen. And that's what's getting frustrating, is that Tampa's been unable to make a deal with anybody, and they've got the system to make deals.
Now, obviously, just like teams that win free agency don't necessarily have success. Look at the Mets. Look at the Padres. Look at the Yankees. All right. And teams that win the trade deadline don't always have success either. I mean, when the Braves won the World Series 2 years ago, they made 4 solid deals. They didn't make a huge deal. They acquired 4 solid players that filled holes. All came up huge for them in October. Miller and Moulton.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung has successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida for over 30 years. As a former prosecutor, the information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, a criminal matter, or involved in an auto accident, call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung. I'm a local attorney with local knowledge to assist you through the process. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Offices in Fort Myers.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth. that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So yesterday, during my lunch break at the TV station, I drove up and down McGregor for the first time. Those houses are so nice.
A couple of them are, yeah.
I'd say,
yeah.
Up and
Should
down
go to
those
Collier
roads.
County and see what they really look like.
Yeah.
Spitz, I don't think they're leery about dealing with the Rays at a deadline like this because they actually have the hand. Here's something else, if anybody cares. The Rays are going to have a 40-man roster problem at the end of this year. They've got like 6 solid prospects that have advanced to the point in their organization where they're going to have to put them on the 40-man roster. So you're going to have to get rid of some guys anyway, just to make room for these 6. And Mark, I don't know. I mean, you're like digitizing like crazy on.
Yeah, I'm completely frozen up over here. I have been during the whole break. I just tried to close a tab and it completely went haywire. The good news is I can hear you.
Okay, fine.
Logic Man, I'm sure you'll be in the chunk of red along the first base line.
Yes, Felipe you were bothered. The last Marlins game you went to was a Phillies game, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. It's just the way that you hyped it up and the way that it really was hyped up in general. The amount of Phillies fans that I saw rather than Marlins fans, it's just like, damn, you know. But that's always been the case, you know. Anytime the Phillies are in town. Cubs is another one. A lot of Cubs fans show out. And of course, you got the Mets fans who are everywhere.
Hey, baby, 56 games to go. You're in the playoffs right now. Come on now.
God, fingers crossed. Jeez. It's killing me.
I want them to make the playoffs, but there's the other part of me that wants them to be right about 500 with 2 weeks left in the season to see you really have to sweat this out.
Could very well happen.
And I think we'll find out this week.
I don't think the Marlins are done, by the way. I think she makes at least one more deal.
I hope so. I mean, I keep on seeing reports of them being interested in Tim Anderson.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know if I'd do that. That's taking a bit of a flyer. Listen, the guy I'd go get, and I'd call the Red Sox about Justin Turner. Because you not only get him for this year, you get him for next year. That's a guy who's played big-time baseball. He's a clutch player. He's a winner. He's awesome in a locker room. Red Sox are 2.5 out. Don't laugh. Boston's in Seattle tonight. You need the Red Sox to lose. This is their last game before the trade deadline. You need them to fall like 3.5 out for the wild card.
It's the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Listen, there's a story I want to get to, but first, so how important do you think today is? If you're a baseball GM, Mark. Like the Cubs are hosting the Reds. Cubs have a decent number of games left with the Reds. Okay, they're 4 back of Cincinnati right now. Does it make a difference if you lose tonight and you fall 5 back versus what you're like? You got a deal on the table that you're thinking about. You win tonight, you're 3 back. You ain't making that deal. We ain't selling nothing. You got a Marcus Stroman deal on the table. Okay.
He's throwing tonight too.
But he pitches tonight and loses. You fall 5 back. You making that deal? Best case scenario, hopefully he pitches pretty well. You lose like 3-2.
If I'm Chicago, I cannot make a deal that does anything to lessen my chances of making the postseason this year.
Okay. All right, fine. If you're the Red Sox GM, interesting guy, remember, brought up through the Rays organization, not a popular guy in Boston. Red Sox 2.5 out of the wild card. They're in Seattle tonight. If they lose to Seattle tonight and they fall 3.5 back in the wild card, you think you could then, a guy that they're hesitant to trade, you could maybe get him to trade?
David, even less so for the Red Sox because their 3.5 has no one between them and the Blue Jays, or their 2.5 rather, has no one between themselves and the Blue Jays. It's not like they're having to leapfrog 3 or 4 teams to get in the playoffs. They're looking at everybody they have to catch.
Correct. The Red Sox are technically the 7 seed in the American League right now, while the Cubs are the 9. The Cubs have to leapfrog Arizona, Philadelphia, and either Milwaukee or Miami.
I would never, in these spots, be a seller. I think
funny.
it's a disservice to your fan base.
It's funny. If I'm the Cubs, I'm trading Stroman after tonight. First off, I think he's a little bit of fool's gold. He's not a power pitcher. He's in the final year of a contract. They've had plenty of opportunity to sign him to an extension. Okay. They're not going to, in my estimation. Also, if you look closely, he hasn't pitched all that well the last 6 weeks. His season numbers are good. He's the opposite of Verlander. Okay, Verlander started the year on the IL. First month was not that good. Verlander last 7 starts, his ERA is 1.5. Stroman's the opposite. And I'm getting a start out of him tonight, and then I can trade him. I mean, think about it, Mark. I got 10 starts left of Marcus Stroman. What are 10 starts of Marcus Stroman worth?
Based on his record, by the way, just leave nothing. He's 10-7. So you're talking 5 wins? 5-3?
10-7, got a 3.5 ERA.
But just on the record, so he's 5-3 the rest of the way?
I mean, he's trending in the wrong direction, but he is, I will say, he's an innings guy. I mean, you give the ball to Stroman, he pitches into the 7th every time. He will.
I couldn't make a trade because of the message it sends to my clubhouse, David. Hey, I'm getting rid of a guy, so we don't have as good of a chance to win the division as we did. Good of a chance to make the wild card. Not only for the Cubs, David, is it a shot at a wild card, but they've got a legit shot at the division right now. I can't do it.
They're 4 back of the Reds, but they're only 3 in the loss column. It's another thing. I mean, you just wonder, the trade deadline's 6 o'clock tomorrow. Nobody has an afternoon game tomorrow. Today's it. And a lot of teams are in action. Not everybody, but a lot. Does this make a difference for Cashman and the Yankees? The result of tonight's Rays game. I mean, Yankees are 3.5 out of a wild card. But as you said, between them and the wild cards, Boston, and then either Toronto or Houston. But if they lose tonight, they're 4 games over 500 at the 2/3 pole of the season, basically. I mean, I know you're the Yankees, but I mean, what are you going to do? How bold are you going to get here?
How bold can you get?
Right. I mean, listen, you could call the Mets. The Mets will do a deal with the Yankees. They would. This regime would. The old owner never would have. The Wilpons would rather have honestly lost the franchise before making a deal to help the Yankees. You want to take Verlander and Tommy Pham off their hands? They do the deal. I mean, you're probably going to have to give up one of your top 2 prospects in the organization, but I mean, get Verlander for this year and next. You need a third baseman and a left fielder. Tommy Pham plays left field. Tommy Pham would help a lot. You want to do the deal? Yes or no? Are you in or not? Just curious. And I'm really curious the impact of one game tonight, one of 162. And does the GM go, screw it, we're selling? Where if they win, they go, you know what, we're buying. Because I'm making the case for the Marlins to get Justin Turner from the Red Sox. He's got a 2-year deal, first year of it. I love him. Clutch player, winner, third baseman. He'd be perfect for the Marlins. Perfect. Okay. If the Red Sox lose tonight and they fall 3.5 out, could you maybe swing that deal?
And I just don't think so. I don't know how the Yankees and Red Sox can be sellers, although the Red Sox GM operates on his own agenda.
Exactly. And not a popular one, by the way. And it would not be popular in that clubhouse. In fact, my guess is Cora, even though he'd be in Seattle and the GM would be back in the offices in Boston, that Cora would lose his mind if he traded Justin Turner on him. But then again, Kim Ng's being very aggressive here for the Marlins GM. Very aggressive. I mean, one of the 2 prospects she gave up to the Mets was considered a top 10 prospect in the organization. Okay, that's to rent a closer for 2 months. That's an aggressive buy. Never mind what she would probably be willing to give up for a Justin Turner. And if you're the Red Sox GM and the Marlins offer you a top 100 prospect in baseball, like their 3rd best prospect in the organization, you going to turn that down? I mean, how much you really all in on this team? I mean, this team's ham and egg in it. They really are. You look at this team and you go, how the hell are they ahead of the Yankees? I'm just curious, how much does tonight affect whether or not teams are going to make deals?
It sounds like it would a lot if you were a GM.
Yes.
It sounds like this would be a long day for you if you were running a Major League Baseball franchise that was in the hunt or close to it.
If I'm the Cubs GM, I am leaning heavily towards trading Stroman. He goes out, pitches well tonight. We win. We're 3 back, 2 in the loss column. How the hell can I make that deal? We get beat tonight. We're 5 back, 4 in the loss column. 9-10 starts. They're off, and I'm getting an offer for a, top 100 prospect in baseball. I mean, listen, you wait 10 minutes, the Texas Rangers offer you a top prospect. I mean, honestly. And for that matter, wait 10 minutes on the Angels. They'll offer you something too. I mean, you got two teams right now in the AL West who can't give their prospects away enough. Marcus Stroman on the Rays. Come on now.
Hey, the Rays need to find some pitching. And I even think the guy from Detroit they could go after because that's a rental because their pitching's coming back. You already mentioned the problems they're going to have on the 40-man going forward when all these players are healthy. The Rays have to go find an arm, preferably two. One starter, one bullpen.
And they need a bat, at least one. I'm just curious how much, we have most of baseball playing today. It's the last game before the trade deadline. And we've gone through it, how you've got 2/3 of the league that are all within a handful of games of being in the playoffs. How important is tonight to the trade deadline? On a scale of 1 to 10, Mark, I think it's at least an 8. I really do. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today is the day when, all that stuff. That's next.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
The law firm of Michael F. Hornung specializes in criminal defense, DUI, personal injury, nursing home claims, and auto accidents. I'm a former prosecutor with over 34 years of experience. The information I know is information you need to know. If you've been arrested for a DUI, time is of the essence to maintain your driving privileges. Call the law firm of Michael F. Hornung for a free consultation. At the law firm of Michael F. Hornung, we are committed to excellence in your representation. Being a local attorney with local knowledge is clutch to the success of your case. For over 30 years, we have successfully represented the citizens of Southwest Florida. For a free consultation, call 239-437-0095. That's 239-437-0095. Our offices are conveniently located in Fort Myers. Visit online at mfh-law.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Marlins have 7 left with the Phillies. Cubs have 8 left with the Reds, 6 with the Brewers. Rays have 6 with the Blue Jays, a 4-gamer in Baltimore left. That's it with the Orioles. Spits the Yankees can sell. Cashman has sold 2-3 times before. He seems to be Teflon. I got to be honest. If I was the Yankees, I would sell. This team ain't doing crap. I need a third baseman. I need a left fielder. I need another starting pitcher. I'm old, unathletic. I'd sell as many parts as they'd take off my hands if I was Cashman. Yankee fans know this team's not doing anything. This team's Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge. That is it. And a bullpen. Poll question, what happens first? Justin Verlander gets traded or another team leaves the Pac-12?
Right.
He retired, what, mid-August 2019? I was on the air, actually. I was on I was on Mad Dog Radio doing a 7 to 11 shift the night Andrew Luck retired. That was like gold. They went with Brissett in 2019, Phillip Rivers in 2020, Carson Wentz in 2021, and then Matt Ryan and company in 2022.
Andrew Luck is 33. That's crazy.
He still lives in the greater Indianapolis area, too.
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Alex Golish, the South Florida football coach, is joining us tomorrow. Greg Swaim, who's been all over the conference realignment story in college sports, he will join us tomorrow as well. So we got that going on, which is nice. Make sure you go to floridasportsnetwork.com. 15 days. Our fantasy football summits, 2 weeks tomorrow night. Bell Tower Shops, Crown Plaza, Shoeless Joe Sports Cafe, Dr. Roto, dinner, and 50 of your closest fantasy football friends. Nice little setting, nice little event. We're proud of this event.
Who knows? You could show up getting this and start your own high-stakes league just with the people that are in the room.
That's true, actually. It really is. You could do a little side thing. Hey, I know a guy, and there's 8 of you in the room.
I'm guessing we'll have a lot of return customers because people had a really good time and thought it was very valuable and reached out to us during the season. But I did laugh that there were a couple of families, husband, wife, daughter in one case.
Right.
Do you think husband brings wife and daughter back if they pounded him in the league this year?
And, husband maybe stereotypically listens to the show. Wife and daughter may not. Husband just says, hey, I'm going out with some guys on Tuesday. Is that okay? Yeah, sure. That's fine. Don't tell the wife about it.
I'd like one table just of female listeners, just to poke fun at all the guys, because they're the ones that probably win their fantasy league too.
No doubt.
A little calmer, not rash to send that big early season trade when things aren't going well.
Although I don't know about that. Okay. Your neighbor, the Mets fan, she's not the calm one of that married couple.
No, but she did watch her Mets finally win a game. She was 0 for her last 17 Mets games and went on Friday night, and the Mets finally ended her 17-game losing streak as a fan. I don't know if I could get much past 10 and keep going. At that point, I would think it was me.
We lose them?
Yeah. Completely.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
When I got to throw things at him, I know we've lost him.
Yeah, he's asleep.
1777. Marquis de Lafayette, made Major General of the Continental Army. Was kind of a big deal. He was 19 at the time, by the way.
Wow.
Right.
He was a 5-tool player, though, Mark.
We go all the way to 1954, when Milwaukee first baseman Joe Adcock becomes only the third player in the 20th century to hit 4 home runs in a 9-inning game. The other 2 were Lou Gehrig and Gil Hodges. 1963, the Indians tie a record with 4 consecutive home runs to beat the Angels 9-5. Woody Held, Pedro Ramos, Tito Francona, and Larry Brown all go deep in the 6th inning. That singer-songwriter thing was big in the early 70s, David. James Taylor, You Got a Friend, #1 song in the land in 71. Today in 78, Pete Rose, with a single off of Phil Niekro, extends his hitting streak to 44 games to tie Willie Keeler's 81-year-old National League record.
Willie Keeler, who apparently back in the day said, hit them where they ain't. That's what he was known for. Hit them where they ain't.
81, the midseason baseball strike ends after 42 days. Canceled 713 games.
And that's when they came out of it, and they said, well, they're going to need a couple weeks to get back in shape and this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, why don't we just go with a split season? We'll declare first half champions, and then you'll all play 60 games in the second half, and we'll do this playoffs thing.
1987, the movie The Lost Boys debuts. 1990, Nolan Ryan records his 300th victory. Only the 20th Major League Baseball pitcher to reach the milestone at the time.
And he pitched 3 more years.
Disney buys Capital Cities ABC for $19 billion today in 95. Pretty soon, Walt Disney's going to sell off part of it.
Going to sell off at least ESPN is the word. I'll bet you ESPN gets more for just ESPN than what they paid 28 years ago for the whole company. I think ESPN goes for at least 20. At least. There was a time a few years ago in which ESPN was estimated at $50 billion if it was put on the market.
Today in 97, Mark McGwire was traded from the A's to the Cardinals. 2007, the Celtics get Kevin Garnett in a 7-for-1 deal with the T-Wolves. And in 2012, Michael Phelps becomes the greatest medal winner in Olympic history as part of the American 4x200 freestyle relay team. It is his 19th career Olympic medal and 15th overall gold. Kurt Gowdy and Kevin Green celebrating birthdays today if they were still with us. Bunch of birthdays to get to. Bill Callahan, 67. Bill Berry, the drummer for REM, is 65. Dale Hunter is 63. Actor Wesley Snipes is 61. J.K. Rowling is 58. Gus Farad is 52. Jonathan Ogden is 49 and is still in eclipse. Tim Couch is 46. DeMarcus Ware is 41. And driver Kyle Larson's 31. What did I miss, David?
Hoffa went missing today in 75. So they buried him at the Meadowlands in Jersey today in 75.
Probably took him a while to get there. He was in Detroit, wasn't he, when they picked him up?
Yeah. Oh, no. There's no doubt about it. But so, I mean, I could go all the way back to 1556. Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuit movement, passed away today. But that's old school, Mark. I mean, 1556 and all. Anytime you go pre-Coolidge administration, you're going old school. Officially.
Jose Fernandez would have been 34 today.
Wow. Could still be pitching. I mean, not for the Marlins. They would have got rid of him. They couldn't afford to keep him, but.
No, but he'd probably be on the bump for the Yankees tonight against the Rays.
That's true. He'd be a trade deadline acquisition for somebody.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Clearwater for the good, where the Coast Guard had to rescue a diver who was sick out at sea. 57-year-old man showed signs of decompression sickness. Coast Guard released a helicopter, picked him up, took him to Tampa General. Way to go, Coast Guard. For the bad, we go to Florida, where, boy, mugshot awareness. Two girls got after one another at a party, one 18, the other 23, in Callaway Bay. Fight was so bad that one girl bit the other girl's ear off. All started off for a ripped-off vape pipe. Both girls, despite the one in a black eye and the one without an ear, have nice smirks in their mugshots. And finally, the ugly, David. More than 100,000 people in the U.S. have become allergic to red meat since 2010 because of a weird syndrome triggered by tick bites. Apparently, tick spit gets in the meat and can make you allergic to red meat. I don't know what I'd do. 80% of my diet.
Yeah, I just put a couple slices of cheese on it and deal with it. Sorry. Just, sacrifices must be made.
That is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, July the 31st, 2023.
Well, we have 10 baseball games today. And we got a whole bunch of teams in which this is their last game before the trade deadline, because the deadline is 6 o'clock Tuesday evening. But we got big series. All right, we got the Rays in the Bronx against the Yankees. Rays a game and a half behind the Orioles. Yankees in bad shape. 3.5 back of the wild card. Marlins, meanwhile, biggest games they've ever played at Lone Depot Park. A 4-gamer with the Phillies. They're a half a game ahead of the Phillies for the final playoff spot in the National League. Only a game ahead of the Diamondbacks for that final spot. Hell, they're only, 3.5 ahead of the Cubs, 5 ahead of the Padres. It's a big series. Marlins have 7 games left with the Phillies. 4 of them are this week, Monday through Thursday, in Miami. Big games. So.
And they've been aggressive. Let's see what the Marlins do between now and the deadline. Will they continue to try to acquire players?
I think they will. I actually think she'll pay the price, Kim Ng. If you were the general manager of the Marlins, you know your reality. How many times do you think near the trade deadline, Mark, I'm going to give you, I'm Bruce Sherman. I hope he's listening in Naples. Hi, Bruce. Okay, I'm going to give you a 7-year contract extension. You're going to have this job through the decade. How many times do you think you will be in the position that you're in at the trade deadline where you're right there. You're a playoff team. You're just in, just out. How many times between now and 2030 do you think you'll be in that situation?
I'd be glass half full if I'm the GM of the Marlins, but I would think realistically no more than 3.
And I think that's high.
I know.
Right. So if that's your reality, this franchise has made the playoffs 3 times. One of them was the pandemic year. Yeah, you're going to, I think, even though I'm more aggressive than you, if we're in the room together, I think I can convince you, come on, Mark, we gotta be aggressive here. That we can't miss this out. We can't miss the playoffs by a couple games. And there was our third baseman out there and we didn't acquire him.
Well, you would not have to convince me, because if I'm a buyer and this is a seller's market, I would be overspending to try to make the postseason. And I know you're going up against the Dodgers and the Braves and your chances are unrealistic, but you have to give yourselves an opportunity just to play in the postseason.
By the way, man, the schedule maker in baseball: Rays, Yankees, Phillies, Marlins, Baltimore, Toronto, Angels in Atlanta, Reds, Cubs, Cleveland, Houston. I mean, Cleveland's a half a game out of first. Houston's tied for the final playoff spot. All right. Boston and Seattle, and Arizona's in San Francisco. They're separated by a game. I mean, man, what a sexy early week series we got going on here.
And David, with this many teams good right now, I don't know how many weeks that we're going to have that aren't like this from a baseball standpoint.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's more average to above average in baseball than there is below average.
And the U.S. Women's World Cup team, 3 a.m. You heard us correctly. 3 a.m. tomorrow morning.
When you wake up tomorrow, we could be out.
That's right. Yep, we could be. Need a result. Need a draw. We advance with a draw. We likely don't win the group, but we advance with a draw. And that was our result last time out against the Netherlands, 1-1.
If the U.S. goes 1-0-2, that would be staggeringly bad.
I know
so
we're the
get them out.
I know we're the number 1 team in the world and we're the favorite, but this is a transition team. I mean, this is actually this World Cup, next year's Olympics. This is, if we're going to get beat, this is when we should get beat. Because if they can't get us now, forget it.
This is like Germany on the men's side not getting out of group, David.
Oh,
this
yeah.
doesn't happen.
Oh, no, this would be Brazil not getting out of group. Absolutely. Right. Oh, yeah. Never mind. Over-under is a half. How many teams officially joined the Big 12 today?
Do you think Arizona does today?
No, I think they wait tomorrow. There's some kind of meeting in the Pac-12 tomorrow, and they do it tomorrow night.
The Pac-12 losing members by the day. We'll see what else happens in the world of college sports expansion in the next 24 hours, because we will keep our eye on it. And we thank you so much for listening to Miller and Moulton. We'll do it all over again. July is over. August, tomorrow on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters